المكتب التعاوني للدعوة والإرشاد وتوعية الجاليات بالأحساء.
حي الشباب العاملين خير الكتائب أجمعين من شيدوا صرح الرشاد ليرفعوا لله دين. حي الشباب العاملين خير الكتائب أجمعين من شيدوا صرح الرشاد ليرفعوا لله دين.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. My brothers from Saudi Arabia and from other parts and from our country, you know, we are so fortunate to be part of a brotherhood, the brotherhood of Muslims that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam established so many thousands of years ago, or so many hundreds of years ago, 1,400 years. And true to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's word when he said that my ummah is like a body. If one part of the body feels the pain, then every other part of the body feels that pain also. And the Muslim Ummah is unique in that sense. You know, if something is happening in the Muslim world somewhere, like for example in a tiny little country like Gaza, things are happening, we down here in South Africa, so many thousands of kilometers away, we feel that pain also. As if it's our own neighbors, as if it's our own brothers and sisters that are going through this. Now, one of the things that we need to be grateful to Allah Ta'ala for is this unity and brotherhood, because no other religion can boast that they have something like this. Now, my approach in my presentation, without taking too long to get into it, without long introductions like Advocate said, is to talk about technology. I'm very, very passionate about technology. I've made a career for myself in technology ever since I was 8 years old. I was into programming computers, and I'm very passionate up till today. But I see something that upsets me a lot. And what upsets me a lot is that every other nation is taking advantage of this technology, of modern technology, except the Muslim Ummah. And I guarantee you, I assure you, if your Nabi was alive today, if Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was alive today, he would have been the foremost in technology. He would have been one of the foremost users and adopters of technology because of the immense capabilities that technology offers. So my topic for discussion is dawah through technology. Now I'll explain to you exactly what is dawah. But we start with this ayat here. Allah Ta'ala says in the Quran, Kuntum khayra ummah. Allah Ta'ala is giving you an accolade. He's giving you a rank. You are the best of ummats. Ummats came, ummats went. Nations came and went. Nations of prophets came and went. But you, O ummat of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, are the best. But that title, that rank comes with a responsibility. And immediately after that, Allah Ta'ala mentions that responsibility. Ukhrijat linnas. You are the best of nations. But you know, the higher a person goes in an organization, in a business, the higher the responsibility goes. So in the same way, the responsibility that this ummah has is you have been brought forth for mankind. Your responsibility is to mankind. And what is that responsibility? Even there Allah Ta'ala goes on and explains. Allah Ta'ala says, تَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَتَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ. Your responsibility is to command, instruct, enjoin, encourage people to do good, and to forbid people from doing evil. That's your responsibility. And if you think about it, throughout the ages, whenever there was this taking place, wherever there were Muslims, there were good people that were talking to people, that were encouraging people towards good, there was always good. And where we went into a lapse, where we stopped doing our responsibility, then we found that bad things started to happen. I think it was Albert Einstein who said that the world is a dangerous place, not because of the bad people that do bad things, but because of the good people that keep quiet and don't do anything about it. True to the words, I think he read this ayat, I think he read some ahadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam before he made that statement. So let me continue. My session, actually, I'm going to do two sessions here. One is today and one is on Friday. In session one, I want to focus on things more general, more technology related. What's going on in the world of technology? What is the power of technology today? What is its reach? This is important for us to know. Before I can actually get into how we can use technology for good, how can we use technology for our responsibility that Allah has given us, we need to know a little about technology. So there's a few sessions I'm going to do today. The first one is called, is an introduction. Second one is, did you know? It's a brief yet insightful vision into the future, followed by digital lifestyle. Digital lifestyle speaks about how technology has impacted our lives. And the last one is the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good parts of technology, the bad parts, and the downright ugly parts of internet and technology. Now I'm going to use the word technology and internet interchangeably. Session 2 on Friday, just to give you a little trailer of what's going to happen, we're going to speak about the tools of the technology trade. What's going on in technology? What are the tools that people are using today? And when I talk about tools, I'm talking about web services, I'm talking about apps like Twitter and Facebook. Those are the most common social media that we know about, but there's lots of other tools on the internet that we can use. Second one, them versus us. Who's them? The forces of evil versus us. Now, how are the forces of evil using internet? How are they using technology to forward their agenda? How are they using it? They got a right to do so because it's open to everybody. It's not just one person or another person's, that has ownership of this technology. It belongs to everybody and it's there for everybody to use. It's how you are using it that is up to you entirely. And thirdly, ideas that spread win. What does this entail? This speaks about, actually it kind of summarizes exactly what Mr. Vayan explained to you earlier on. You know, what he exploded into an entire course, this is going to just put it down into basically point form. One is, you have the technology, you have the medium, but how do you get your message across in the most effective way? Now this will be a little more fine-tuned for technology. Like for example, if you are tweeting on Twitter, or if you are putting out a post on Facebook, or you are writing a blog, it's somewhat different to public speaking as, in the strict sense of the word. It'll be somewhat different because what you say there is going to be reaching a far wider audience than, say, public speaking. I mean, even if you're speaking, I'm speaking right now to a group of what, 20 or 30 people. If you are public speaking at a larger gathering, 1,000, 2,000, but when you speak on the internet, you are speaking potentially to millions of people. And so you have to be extra careful about what you say, because there's no opportunity to go back and say, oops, I made a mistake, let's delete this. That opportunity doesn't exist. Once it's put into writing, it's there forever. Just some house rules that I like to observe. Formalities, right? Your phone's silent or beep once mode. You decide when to start, when to stop. If you find, hey, you know what, after 20 minutes, this guy is boring my life out of me, then you tell me stop and I will stop. You are the boss over here, I'm not the boss. I'm not going to make you sit and endure through my presentation if you're not happy about it. You decide when you want to take a break. If you say, hey, you know what, I need a 5-minute breather, let's do it. I mean, you the boss again. And the last one is the most important to me. People are afraid, just like people are afraid of public speaking, people are afraid to ask questions because you feel you're going to look stupid. Why should I ask the question when when everybody else might just know it and laugh at me? But let me assure you, I believe that the only dumb question is the one you didn't ask, as it says there. So ask that question that you'll be surprised that 99% of the other people have the exact same question, but they're also afraid to ask it. So ask it. And where we can help you, we'll help you. Where I can't help you, I'll go and do some research and I'll come back and say, okay, here's what I have to say. Here's the answer to your question. So do not be afraid. And there is no specific time for asking questions at any stage in my presentation. Right now, if you've got a question, ask it. This is not a classroom situation where the big ustad, the sheikh is going to shout you if you raise your hand and ask a question. No, absolutely not. At any stage, ask a question. Yes, sir.
You said earlier, you indicated that the Messenger of Allah would have used technology as well. Can you prove it?
Can I prove it?
Yes.
Well, it's going to be...
What should you mean by it? Can you elaborate on what you mean by that?
Okay, this is a digression, but I'll come to this, I'll cover it very, very concisely and then we'll come back to that. When Rasulullah ﷺ was alive, what did he do? Whenever there was something important to be done, let's take the Battle of the Trench, for example, to defend Medina against the kuffar that were coming from Makkah. He had a mashura with the Sahaba and he asked them, what's the best way to defend Medina? So one of the Sahaba, what was his name? Anybody knows? Salman Al-Farsi. He came up with the idea. He says, look, it's the latest trend or the latest technology right now in Persia to dig these trenches. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam accepted that. When it came to adhan, when it came to establish salat and adhan in the masjid, now Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he brought the Sahaba together. He says, what are the latest, what's the means that people use to get a message out? Ring a bell, light a fire, make some sound, and then the Sahaba decide on adhan. So extending that to today, if Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, go to China also if you have to seek knowledge. Seek knowledge about what? About the latest trends, what's happening in the world, so that you can come and put that into good use in the ummah. And then after Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Sahaba's time, we found, and again I'm digressing, but it's a question that's very, very close to my heart. That's why I'm tackling this. There's a poster somewhere in the back there. I think it's the second pillar. You guys should have a look at it, about the great Muslim scientists and the things that they discovered. You know, they were the foremost in technology. Muslims were the foremost. You name it, it's there. Mathematics, surgery, medicine, physics, biology. It's a fact that, there's some of it here also. It's a fact that Newton wasn't the guy that came up with his discoveries, as they put it. It was a person by the name of Sheikh Baghdadi, who was at least a century before Newton, that made the same discoveries. Newton simply took his ideas and put them, put them as his own. So it goes on and on. The basis of modern science and technology is with the Muslims. Yes, we kind of lost it somewhere along the way, but we can come back, and I'll show you some, some ways that we can bring it back. Okay. Finally, if you're happy about something, I want to know about it. If you're unhappy about something, I also want to know about it, because it's a way for me to continuously improve what I am saying and what I'm doing. Okay, just to give you a bit of background about myself and what I do. As Brother Mahmoud explained, I'm a student of Deen, but I'm also a software engineer, and that's me receiving the award for the app that I've developed. It's a maths app. It's an app that helps kids improve their results, their maths results. I'm the CEO of a company called IT Varsity, and for me, it's not just a company, it's my passion, it's what I do, it's what I love to do. Now, what is IT Varsity? If somebody asks me, what exactly is IT Varsity, I say, more than a business, it's a dawah organization. Because what we do is we empower people with skills. We give people skills to earn a living, and we do this and we make it known that this is a Muslim that's doing this for you. So what we do is, in South Africa, the quality of technology education is extremely poor. So what we do is we take students from various areas, the poorest of students, and we train them up in the latest technologies. Java programming, web applications, mobile applications, and then we try to find them jobs. Now those that can afford to pay, do obviously pay for themselves, and those that can't afford to pay, we go out and we look for bursaries so that we can help them to pay for their fees. We bring students from different parts of the world. This is a group, it's actually a competition that we had at IT Varsity. It's a group of students that came, they were from South Africa, the UK, Turkey, and I don't know what other countries. So they were all at IT Varsity. This took place. It was an international programming competition, and I'm glad to say some of our students won that competition. This is some of the outreach work that we do. This is at a very poor area on the outskirts of Durban. It's called St. Wendolin's Mission. It's near about, from here it's about a 20-minute drive. Now that day we pitched up with 4 computers. We announced that we're doing computer classes. We only got 4 computers. 44 people turned out. And we had to have like 12 people sitting at a computer. We also do free classes at different venues like shopping centers, just to bring people and give them a sense of what technology is like, what the internet is like. I don't know what's the experience in your country, but here it's common to see people who've never touched a computer in their entire lives. So we give people those kind of opportunities. These are classes that we run every week at our center. It costs 100 rands to do a computer course, very basic Windows, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, internet, email, and 100 rand is less than $10 US. So it's a very, very cheap course that we run. Again, the idea is just to empower people, just to give them the skills. We are accredited with the Department of Education in South Africa. What you're seeing here looks like a ship's container, right? It is a ship's container. But on closer inspection, don't judge something by its outward looks, because look at it closely. On the inside, it's actually a fully fledged computer lab. Now, we've partnered with an organization here in Durban to teach school teachers and students about technology in this lab. So they put the lab, they pay for it, they outfit it, and we go and we add life to it by teaching people the skills that they need. Another thing that we are doing is this. We're taking this all over South Africa, as well as my vision is to take this all over Africa. Kids learning code. Now, what is code? Code is how to program computers, how to use computers. All right, so this is a program that we've put together, especially for school kids from 7 to 17 years old. There's a lot of poverty here in South Africa, and kids can't afford computers, they can't afford internet. So we say, okay, let's have a course where we even give them a free computer, and we teach them how to use those computers so that they can take those home and they can practice, and hopefully, inshallah, someday find a career in technology, in IT, and always remember throughout their lives that it was a Muslim that did this for me. See, dawah through empowerment. The pictures you are seeing are kids. This is a 13-year-old kid, is my son. He's the teacher. He's 13 years old. He teaches the other kids how to program computers. So, you know, they feel more comfortable with somebody their age who's actually teaching them. This is a school on the outskirts of Durban. Also, it's in an area called Chesterville. These kids, this was a strange situation. This school was granted brand new computers. I think there was about 50 brand new computers and really good state-of-the-art computers, but they were not being used. The lab was just locked up and you know, just shut down. So the teacher called us. He says, you know what, we got this lab, why don't you guys come and teach our students something? So every week on Saturdays we have free classes for kids. Now, most of this we're funding ourselves, but we are looking at you know, external organizations, government, private sector to help us fund this, because this is something that we feel there's a huge need for in this country. The computers that we give, I don't know if anybody is familiar with this computer here. It's the Raspberry Pi, the smallest computer in the world. It's a one circuit board computer, tiny little thing. The circuit board inside is about the size of a credit card. But it's a fully fledged computer. It's got Wi-Fi, it's got, okay, it doesn't have a hard disk, it has a USB input, so you can plug in your external hard disk or your memory stick. It runs the Linux operating system, but you know, with Linux nowadays you get almost everything that you can get on a Windows machine. And this is what we live by. This is the code that personally I live by, and everybody working at my company lives by. We are also in talks with an organization from Zimbabwe to open up a center over there, because they sent someone here to South Africa to see what is the state of technology here, and those people were referred to some friends of ours from Johannesburg and said, come to IT Varsity in Durban and see what they are doing, you'll be impressed. And they were impressed. Now they want to take this to Zimbabwe. My vision is to take this to all parts of the world, inshallah. Okay, now we come to my actual topic. What I want to do is, I want to impress on you where technology is and where it's going, and why we as Muslims need to harness this technology. For two reasons. I mean, we are human beings. We want to all earn a good living. We are studying at school, we are studying at universities. We want to earn a comfortable living that we can give the best for our wives and children. Nothing wrong with that. To earn a halal rizq is something that we've been instructed in the Quran. But we also want to use this technology for other reasons. We want to use it for dawah. We also, and for me this is very important, we want to shift the focus of technology. I know it sounds crazy what I'm saying, but one day I promise you this will become a reality, inshallah. We want to shift the focus of technology from the West to the Muslim world. We want to say, you know what, you want to learn the best technology in the world. Today, what's the name that comes to mind? America, right? You know, the best technology, the most advanced technology is either coming out of the US or it's coming out of China. But how nice if the Muslim world had an awakening, had a revival when it comes to learning, when it comes to technology, when it comes to the sciences. This is what I'd like to see. That somebody must say, the world must say, hey, you know what? Now the Muslims have taken charge again. They've taken control back from the West. And that is possible. It's happening already in a very small scale. We just have to all support each other and make it happen on a global scale. Did you know the top 10 in-demand jobs in 2014 did not even exist in the year 2004? I'm coming to you. In 2004, in other words, people were doing, or in 2014, people were doing jobs that didn't exist in 2004. Let me give you an example. In the year 2004, if I told you the word iPhone, you know what your question would be? You phone who? You wouldn't know what's an iPhone. But today when I talk about iPhone, everybody knows it. And everybody wants one because it's the posh, the best phone. So new technologies are coming out on almost a yearly basis. Every 6 months you can say. And with those are coming new opportunities, new jobs. Yes, Moulana?
No, what I want to know, you mentioned that they must actually bring back the Muslims that take charge. That's the bottom line. I've been actually trying to motivate Muslims, into management especially. Exactly what you were saying. Now I'm actually on Facebook. You go under Moulana, he's Moulana, you see my name there. Exactly what, actually I'm needing people, I need people like yourself.
Let's work together.
No, I need it because what we need to do is actually take, as you said, take charge and bring back, because Muslims have invariably, they are looking at America in inverted commas as the king of technology. But Muslims invariably have got that technology, they are blessed with it. And this is why I said, we need to partner together and around the world, inshallah, so that we can probably have a center somewhere, any part of the world, I don't care where it is. But as long as it's Muslim run, inshallah, so that Muslims will say, this is Muslim run, that's how it should be, like the IPCI there.
Inshallah. I think that's a huge opportunity for da'wah also, and count me in. Let me know, I'll come at my own expense. Brothers from Saudi, if you want me to come, don't even buy my airfare, I'll come. Just give me a place to stay and some food to eat and I'll be there. I'll be there to speak to people at your universities and your schools, because I've got the passion for this. Yes, brother.
Nowadays, you see to move the IT, guide the IT from West to Muslim. Indian and Indian, it's not Muslim 100%. A lot of Germany, for example, Germany IT companies, they are established in India with Indian, and we know that they are good in IT. So it's a start already. Other thing, a lot of Muslims now, all over, they are educated in this. It's easy just to show and coordinate together.
Absolutely, and I'll just add to what you are saying. I was in Bangalore in India about 5 years ago, when I was thinking about starting IT Varsity, because I wanted to establish, and alhamdulillah, I think we are there. I wanted to establish the best IT training center in this country, and I think we are there already. I mean, we're benchmarking against the other colleges, and they don't even come close to us in terms of the quality of education. But to research this, I went to India, I went to Bangalore, because I wanted to see how they are doing such good things there. And my host in Bangalore, the guy whose house I stayed at, was the CTO of Sun Microsystems, one of the biggest IT companies in the world, the company that basically made the Java programming language. This is one of the people, Muslim guy, that made this. And it just happened that there was a meeting taking place. It was the Muslim IT Professionals Association. And when I sat in that room, I was amazed, because here was a guy that was sitting there, that was at Sun Microsystems. There was another guy with Microsoft who was responsible for the Windows operating system. There was another guy who was with IBM doing something else. So I mentioned to them, you know what, right here in this room, we have the brains, the Muslim brains, to create an operating system of our own. We don't need Windows, we don't need Apple's iOS or Linux, we can use our own operating system. But why aren't we doing it? The problem is nobody could come up with an answer. The problem is that there is no, like you mentioned, there is no coordination. We are there, we got the brains, we got the skills. It's happening. There is that awakening, like Masdar City in the UAE. It's happening. One of my students is actually studying at the university there, and he keeps in touch with me what he's doing. He's actually not so much in IT; he's into electrical engineering. The thing is, we need to give exposure to the Muslims that are doing these things. We need to show the world, hey, you know what? This is a Muslim that did this. This part of the Windows operating system, yes. Muslims did this, but who's taking all the credit? It's America, it's Microsoft. So what they do is, I'll come to you. What they do is, they send the work to India to do, all right? So Indians prepare Microsoft Windows, then they send it back to America. America puts it in a box and sells it back to the Indians. How nice, huh? So they made it, but they're getting sold it at a much higher price than what they were paid to do it. Yes, Sheikh?
It's a honor. And I think the same Moulana must also try to interact with the Madaris. Because if you look at the ayat, وَعِدُّ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُمْ مِنْ قُوَّةٍ وَمِنْ رِبَاطِ الْخَيْلِ. There, if you look, it means the horses, etc. But if you look at now, they're killing us with drones. And the person, we don't know how to make that. Are we going just to be relying on horses when some we don't know exactly what our enemy is using? So if we
Today,
with the Madaris also it will help.
yeah, I mean today, and I'm going to speak about this at length. You know, the battlefield today is on hearts and minds of people, and they're using technology to win the hearts and minds of people. So one is the actual physical technologies that are out there, but it's also getting into the hearts and minds of people, winning people's opinions over, and I'll show you a bit of that a little later on Friday. Now, if you look at some of these terms here, some of you may know what I'm talking about here, and most of you probably won't, but believe me, these are jobs that people are doing. These are things that we are teaching at my college. I mean, if you look at the first one, Android. Today, you know, Android, you just put out a Samsung phone, it's a competitor to the iPhone. But again, 10 or 14 years ago, if you said the word Android, people will think you're talking about a robot. But today, Android means something totally different. Now, one of the biggest steps in technology is cloud computing. Now, what exactly is cloud computing? So people ask me, especially the older generation, what, are they putting computers in the clouds now? It's not. Cloud computing just refers to the internet. The internet has become a central place where everything and everybody is connected. I'll explain to you a little more about cloud computing a little later. All right, so today we're living in a world that's connected, and everything is connected via your computer, just via the internet. Just to give you an example, if you're sitting at your phone and if you are logged onto your Google account, all right, and you do some Google searches, or you go to YouTube, you watch some videos, the moment you go to your computer and you're on your computer, you'll see exactly what you saw there is now on your computer. The bookmarks that you made on your phone are now on your computer. So you are connected in that way. Now they're even coming out with wearable computers, watches, clothing that people wear. That's called the Internet of Things. I'll come back to that. Now, one of the things that made cloud computing possible is this over here. This is, anybody knows what this is? Fiber optic cable. All right, now what exactly is fiber optic cable? For those that are not familiar with it, fiber optic cable is cable that's made out of glass. And each cable, you see, this is a bunch of fiber optic cables. I'm talking about this one strand. This is highly magnified, right? The one strand is 1/60th the thinness of a human hair. That means you take out your hair and you splice it down 60 times, then that one strand is the thickness of that optic fiber cable. But you know what's the capability of that cable? It can push through 210 million phone calls in 1 second. So imagine how much of data it can push through in 1 second. In Europe, America, it's already rolled out. In South Africa, it's coming still. For the past 5 or 6 years, it's still coming, but it's on its way. In countries in Europe, you can get optic fiber straight to your house. Amazing internet speeds. There's no such thing as buffering in some of those places. Did you know we are currently preparing students for jobs that don't yet exist, using technologies that haven't yet been invented in order to solve problems that we don't even know are problems yet. So with each new technology, it brings with it new benefits, new opportunities, but also new problems. And we have to prepare people to solve those problems. We have to have vision into the future and see what's going to be the opportunities, what are going to be the problems, how do we prepare people to solve those problems and to seize those opportunities. Did you know Facebook has how many followers? Anybody wants to take a guess? How many users on Facebook currently?
1 billion.
1 billion.
1.7.
It's 1 billion actually. 1 billion users on Facebook currently. Now let's put that number into perspective. If Facebook were a country, only 2 countries would have more people than Facebook, China and India. And Facebook is quickly catching up with those also. In a couple of years, Facebook will overtake India, and then it will overtake China. This is the reach of technology. Can you imagine? Facebook has 1 billion people using its service. All right, they say there's a debate about how many are actually active users and how many just have accounts that they are not using. Let's say, according to some statistics, quarter of those are active users. Still, 250 million users globally. If you want to send a message across, how easy it is. Imagine if you had to send a newsletter, if you had to print a newsletter and send it around the world. Now the richest sheikh in Saudi Arabia won't even be able to afford that, right? Sorry for the example, but we use that example a lot here. You know, the richest man in the world won't be able to afford to print so many newsletters that it'll reach all over the world. Leave aside just printing. Imagine the logistics, shipping this thing to different towns and cities. It's restrictive, but you just have to put one message out on Facebook, and it's instantly available globally, every little town and village in the world, in whatever language the people want it to be in. Because if you want it translated into Arabic, a button, Google Translate, it's done. Touch of a button, German, whatever language you want, it's there. That's the power of technology, and that's the reach of technology. And that's what I want to try and impress on you. How many people are currently using the internet? This is statistics from South Africa. Yes, Sheikh? You got a question? Okay. This is statistics from South Africa over the past 14 years. Starting from the year 2000, and you can see up till 2012. You'll notice something, for those that studied statistics, somewhere around 2007, 2008, this graph started to get a little steeper. Can you see that? Why is that happening? Why suddenly there was a gradual climb, and suddenly it's getting steeper? And current statistics, 2014, there's already 14 million users in South Africa. So that gets even steeper if you put 2014 statistics, and 2014 is not even over as yet. Percentage of the population. Here we're talking about internet penetration in different countries. You can see that in Africa, in the lead is a Muslim country, alhamdulillah, Morocco. 50% of Morocco's population is already using the internet. This is very, very low by global standards, but at least it's something. The little green one, or the turquoise one down there, is South Africa. We are lagging very, very far behind. There's a number of reasons for that. The main reason is our geographic distance from the rest of the world. I mean, Europe is up there, all the action is happening there, Middle East is up there, and we are like as far as can be. Next thing beyond us is the South Pole, right? So we are very, very far. To get that infrastructure down here is expensive. Let's look at your own country. In Saudi, this is the situation. Here, you can also see there's a kind of an exponential growth over the years. But your growth started much earlier than ours. Ours started around about 2007, yours started around about 2000. Why? Because of your proximity to all the action. You are at the crossroads of the world, and it's going up, up, and up. Now, currently 60% of people in Saudi Arabia are on the internet, which is very, very different compared to South Africa. So you guys have a huge, huge, huge advantage. Can you imagine the opportunities that this presents to people that want to get into internet businesses? I mean, just a couple of weeks back, the Chinese guy, I forgot his name, the guy that founded Alibaba. You guys heard of Alibaba online shopping website? He just registered, he did an IPO on his company. He's now the richest man in China and one of the richest men in the world because he tapped into the power of the internet. This chart speaks for itself. This is again the statistics in Saudi Arabia, the breakdown of that number of people that are using the internet. Now if you're looking at the top here, in this quadrant of the pie, you can see that 68% of the users are male and 31 to 32% of your users in your country are female. So that shows there's a kind of an imbalance, but it's global. It's a global phenomenon. Not even in the United States, the female population overtakes the male. Then you're looking at age group. The most users by far are your age group, right? University, school and university students. And as they get older, you can see the outer rim, 55 to 64 years old, only 1.7% of the internet users are in that age group. And it's the same over here in South Africa, because the older generation don't know much about computers. The younger generation, like this gentleman sitting here, what's your name, brother? Sorry? Muhammad Marham.
Yes.
Now Muhammad is how old? 16?
Yeah, I'm 16.
My son's 8. Now this guy never knew a life without cell phones, without computers, without internet. But we know of a time when there was no such thing as cell phones. Alright? We know of a time when you had to track somebody who's traveling somewhere, you had to wait for them to stop at the next rest stop, then you phone, you at a public phone. So there wasn't internet, there wasn't phones, there wasn't any of this, but he's born into that time. He's from what we call Generation X. They've been born after that, the time when technology became much more widespread. Did you know we are living in what's known as exponential times? It is estimated that a week's worth of New York Times contains more information than a person in the 19th century or 18th century would encounter in a lifetime. So what does this mean? Our great-great-grandfathers, the amount of information they would see in their entire lives, a person who reads the New York Times, it's an ordinary newspaper. Yes, it's a bit of a fat newspaper, but 1 week's worth of New York Times has more information than a person was likely to come across in a lifetime, 60 or 70 years. That's the flow of information. That shows you how much of information we are bombarded with on a daily basis. Anybody who doesn't know what this is, please get up and leave this room right now. I don't want to see you. All right? There are currently 31 billion searches on Google every month. 1 billion searches a day. Now, if I could only get 1 rand for each search on Google, right? That would be amazing. And these guys are absolutely rich. Google is milking it. They are so rich, it's unbelievable. But in 2006, this number was just 2.6 billion. 2006, 2.6 billion. Today, 31 billion. Let's look at those numbers. Try to absorb this. All right? Those that are good at maths and stats, what percent increase is that? That's a 1200% increase in just 7 or 8 years. Now, why am I showing you this? I'm showing you this because the growth of Google is an indication of the growth of technology and growth of the internet. It's one of the best measures of the growth of internet globally. And if you look at the number of languages that Google is translated in, the searches are translated in, it's unbelievable. Hundreds of languages around the world. Now, the question is, to whom are these questions? 1 billion searches a day, 1 billion questions are being asked a day. To whom are these questions asked BG? Who knows what's the meaning of BG? We know what's AH, you know, after Hijri, BH before Hijri. Before Google. So before Google, people were asking questions. Where would you go to ask those questions? Where would you go to do research? Yeah? Grandfather, the sheikh, the library. Who has been to the local library in the last 5 years? You have? Okay. I like it because it's peaceful and quiet. But if you look at the library,
42 years old.
all right. So you in my category. Sometimes it's nice to go and sit and enjoy the peace and quiet, but nobody goes to the library anymore. And here's where, especially you youngsters, I want you to absorb this. If a person, and I'll explain to you more about this on Friday. If a person sitting in an office tower in Los Angeles or in Dallas, Texas, or in somewhere in London wants to find out, say he came across a news report about something about Muslims, something about Arabs, where is he going to go and look for that? Library, TV.
He will Google it.
He will Google it. He will Google it. That's what everybody is doing. But now, let me ask you another question. Who on Google is giving him good sound advice about Islam and the Muslims?
Everyone. Everyone. Good, little.
Very little. Everyone is talking about Islam and Muslim, but not all of it is good. 90% of it is bad. One of my students the other day was seeing, he was seeing a video, a YouTube video on the 5 pillars of Islam. You guys know the 5 pillars of Islam, right? I spent 6 years studying in a madrasa. I spent 6 years studying Arabic at a madrasa. You guys, you're fortunate you were born with it and you speak it and you understand the language, but I had to spend 6 years studying it. So the student was looking at the 5 pillars of Islam, and there was this American youngster, very Middle Eastern in his looks, not a white guy, mine and your color, but he spoke so nicely. But at the end, we saw the snake in the grass. You know, one of Sheikh Dida's famous words, snake in the grass. The whole idea was to explain the 5 pillars of Islam. Why? So that you can spread the gospel to Muslims. So you as a Christian, he's saying this in the article or in the video, you need to know your Muslim neighbor so that you can spread the gospel to him, you can spread Christianity to him from a stronger position because you understand his religion. So you can start up a conversation with him. Can you see that? Snake in the grass. Google up anything on Quran. Google up anything on Saudi Arabia. What are you going to get? Negative, negative, negative. Anti-Islam propaganda. And obviously, you want to attack Islam, you attack Saudi Arabia. That's the easiest way. Who's giving people the true facts about Islam? Show me one Islamic wiki, one solid Islamic wiki that's put together by Muslims of the world and say, this is ours. You want to learn about Islam? Come and talk to us. We know about Islam. That's also highly ranked on Google searches. It's not there. But you guys, you can make it happen.
Moulana, but the problem is they're too afraid.
Who's afraid?
Well, I've approached ulama and I've explained saying exactly what you said.
You started in the wrong place, brother. Don't start with the ulama. Leave them out. And I'm saying this honestly with due respect to them. They've got a different mandate. They've got different ideologies. Start with these people here. You see these people around you? This is the future. This is where we are going to infiltrate and use. Ulama will catch up eventually. You know, I asked Sheikh did that in 1993. I'll come back to you. In 1993, he came and gave a talk at my university where I was studying, a Jummah talk. And I asked him, Sheikh, you're getting a lot of criticism for video and TV, for appearing on, making videos. What do you have to say about that? It was 1993. So he says, look, I don't care. I don't care what people say. That is the medium of today, and we are using it to propagate Islam. We're using it for good, we're not using it for wrong. Today, how many years later? 1993, 2003, 2013, 2014, now some ulama are using it. They say, okay, if you want to use it for propagating deen, you can use it. We've missed out on 2 decades, but he was one of the visionaries that actually used it from back in the days. So there's always going to be technophobes. We call it technophobes, people who are afraid of technology. And they only want to speak about the evils. And I'm going to speak about the evils of technology also. It does have its evils. I mean, it's the same. With a car, you can use a car to go to the masjid, or you can use a car to go to the nightclub, but it's still the same car. You don't blame the car. You blame the person that's using that car. You blame the driver. Now, in the same way with technology, I've also approached a lot of ulama. I've got this idea from the past decade of an Islamic wiki called the Bukhari Project, right? Well, that's the name I gave it. It's just in honor of Imam Bukhari. For those of you that understand, the books of hadith, what Imam Bukhari did was he took hadiths that were from different Sahaba and he put it together into his collection, and that became the most authentic book of hadith. Today, largely, our religion comes from the collection of Imam Bukhari. So he brought it. Now, what I want to do is bring Muslim thoughts together, Muslim thought leaders together into one online platform. They never even have to meet each other throughout their life. And inshallah, if we can do this, then the sky is the limit, really. The first commercial text message was sent out in December 1992. Anybody knows how many text messages are, sorry?
I just want to know, how does Google and these companies take that?
Oh, if I knew that, I would, no, actually,
You don't see, you're going free on and off.
Google makes their money through advertising, through the AdWords advertising. It's a very small amount of money they take for the adverts, but because they got large numbers, so they can get more. So, like for example, just to give you an example, instead of making $1,000 of 100 people, if you make $1 of 100,000 people, you still end up with the same amount of money. So that's what Google is doing. Small numbers, but huge volumes with their advertising. Their search engine is free, but when you do a search, you find these adverts on the side. AdWords, now people are paying for that. And every time you click on that advert, the advertisers are paying. So you advertise to put it, and you advertise to pay. Then also Google, we only sing one part of Google. There's a whole corporate side to Google where they offer Gmail and things like that to companies. They offer their Google apps to companies at a price. So Gmail, for example, is about $50 per user $50 per user per year. So if you want to sort of use Google in your company, then or Gmail in your company, then you'll pay $50. Now imagine how many companies are using that. They are making a phenomenal amount of money. Today, the total number of text messages sent and received exceeds the population of the planet. More than 5 billion text messages are being sent and received. We're talking SMS, we're talking WhatsApp, we're talking BlackBerry, we're talking Facebook Messenger. More than 5 billion messages every day, not even every month. Now, this is astounding. My question is, who's sending all these SMSs? Is it animals that are starting to learn to text each other now? Because there's more than the people on this planet. This is my favorite slide of all. How fast did it take technology to become adopted globally? 50 million users. Radio took 38 years. From the first radio station that opened up, it took them 38 years, 4 decades almost, to get to 50 million listeners. TV took 13 years. Internet, 4 years. Can you see that? How the number is decreasing. iPod took 3 years. Facebook, in less than 2 years, already had 50 million followers. Imagine 50 million people. Can you imagine what a number that is? It's an amazingly huge number of people. But in under 2 years, they were already there. You know, if somebody told you 10 years ago, give me your name, your everything about you, all your background information, who your friends are, what you do, what you like, I want to put it in public, on a public forum, you say you're mad. What they say, what's the word for mad in Arabic? Majnoon. They say you're mad. Why must I put my personal information where everybody can see it? But that's what Facebook does. You take your personal information happily and you put it, and Facebook advertises. You notice the Facebook adverts. Yeah. Those are targeted to you. Those are not just general adverts. A newspaper, you're going through it, it shows you adverts for everybody. The Facebook adverts are for you. I'll come back. Did you know Facebook got an algorithm that can check if a woman is pregnant also? Just from her activities, it can check that she's expecting a baby. They'll put that kind of adverts for her. Kiddies clothes, kiddies pajamas. If you are interested in sports cars, they'll put that for you. Everything to do with sports cars. That's how clever, and companies pay for that information. They want that information. I mean, I own a company. I'm not going to spend millions of rands advertising to people who's not going to have interest in my products. I rather spend half that on people who are interested. You had a question?
It's not a question, just to say regarding Facebook. Something more affected Facebook, and now they're using Facebook to put their information, all information, CV. But in Instagram, they're talking capture for the 18 daily, 3 meal.
Yes,
because
yes.
the restaurant, they're taking the meal. Sorry for that, Mr. Muslim. Our country is getting lost.
Yeah.
So they use it like that.
I don't know how it is in Saudi, but here in South Africa, Instagram is overtaking Facebook. And
even so,
yeah.
Yes.
It's the new big thing.
Every year there's a new program that overtakes the other one.
Sorry?
Every year there's a new program for
That overtakes.
Yeah.
Snapchat now.
Yeah.
Nobody's using that.
No one using it.
If I ask him what's his username in the Facebook, oh, what's...
No, I just forgot it.
Yeah.
Nobody forgot Facebook.
Stop using it.
That's the trends, technology trends. And tomorrow Instagram will be outdated and something else will take its place in the next couple of years. But they have an enormous amount of users. Instagram is, I think, owned by Facebook also.
Yeah.
So for them, it's no loss. WhatsApp is owned by Facebook now. So even if Facebook has a decline and Instagram goes up, but it shows the vision of these people. They realize that the day will come when Facebook will start to go down. We need something else. And that something else, they bought it earlier on. And they paid like $1 billion for Instagram, if I recall. You know, it's $1 billion. People ask, why would Facebook spend so much of money on a social network that nobody knows? I mean, Facebook was then already the leader, but they already saw the decline, and they saw Instagram going up. The number of internet devices in 1984 was 1,000. The total number of devices connected to the internet, only 1,000. Long before some of you, maybe your parents were born in 1984. In 1992, it was 1 million. 2012, it was 1 billion. Next one, 2020. Take a guess, anybody. How many devices are going to be connected to the internet? 10 billion. Good guess. Next one, Sheikh? Naeem? 13 billion. Good guesses. There's the actual number. 26 billion. That's the forecast. By 2020, 26 billion devices are going to be connected to the internet. Now, let's do some arithmetic here. There's 5 billion people in the world. Let's say 6. Some people say 7. 7 billion people. If everybody's got device that's connected to the internet, where's the rest of them coming from?
At least 3 devices for each person.
At least 3 devices per person. You know, in a country like Zimbabwe, I was reading a statistic about Zimbabwe, which is one of our neighbors here. They have an internet cell phone penetration of 106%. You know what that means? There's more cell phones than people in the country. There's more cell phones than people. Why? Because some people have 2 cell phones. Now, if you think about it, a typical person, I'm talking about myself, I've got a cell phone, I've got a tablet PC, I've got a computer, a laptop computer, I've got a desktop computer. 4 devices I own alone. And then in my house, my sons, each of them got a laptop, my wife's got a tablet PC, she's got a phone of her own. And just now, when I can afford it, I'm getting myself a smartwatch. Who's seen the smartwatch? Well, Apple, Samsung also has one. So Sony, the Sony smartwatch is very, very nice. So now if you think about it, is that. But there's also something else. Because the internet is going beyond computers and gadgets. It's going beyond that. Up until to 1990s, early 2000s, the growth was very slow of the internet. And we noticed that around about 2007, it started accelerating. This was the one responsible, right? The iPhone. Anybody knows how many iPhones were sold to date? From start.
10 million?
10 million?
About 500 plus?
No, iPhone.
Close. 500 million. Alright, you came million, O-N. 500 million iPhones were sold to date. You know the iPhone 6, in 3 days they sold 10 million. In 3 days. Now how nice if we had companies like that. That's why Apple is the most highly valued company in the world. But there's also this. This phenomenon is known as the Internet of Things. I'll explain to you what this is. This is, you know, we had before in the old days, in my days, if you wanted to check your email, you would have to go to a computer, dial up, you'll hear the dial-up sound, connect, check your mail, disconnect, and then walk away. Then the iPhone brought the internet into your pocket, but this is a Samsung Galaxy. It brought the internet into your pocket. But now the internet is going beyond the realm of gadgets and devices and is going to things. The Internet of Things means things that were traditionally never connected to the internet, like watches. Samsung is coming out with a smartwatch that connects directly. The current smartwatches connect via your phone, right? With Bluetooth, they connect to your phone and they reflect whatever is happening on your phone. So if you get a message on your phone, it shows on your watch. But the new generation of smartwatches don't even need a phone. They are a phone in themselves. So that's a one thing. Shoes. Nike is making shoes that are connected to the internet. Can you believe that? And these are high-end shoes, especially for professional athletes. Tennis rackets. Can you imagine an athlete will have a tennis racket that's connected to the internet? So while he's playing, a tennis player, it will detect his movements. It will pick up where the shortfalls in his movements are. The runner that's running, he'll pick up why this person, if he's got a limp, if he's not doing too well, not performing, or how can he improve his performance, because that shoe is constantly talking to his trainer. Clothing. Heart patients will be wearing clothing that's connected to their heart specialist. Anytime the guy's heart rate just goes a little funny, the alarm goes off in the specialist's office. He says, hey, whoa, this guy Bilal, we need to call him in for a service and a checkup. So they'll phone and say, you know what, we detected irregular heart rate, please come back in, you need a service. Cars are now connected. Google's already tested, inshallah, in the next 5 years in South Africa, they say we're going to have cars that drive by themselves. How nice, I hate driving.
Yeah, I have seen an advertisement about a bike locker, which is connected with your iPhone or whatever type of phone.
What was it?
I said a bike lock.
A bike? Light?
No, locker.
What's a?
Oh,
a locker. Oh, okay, okay.
If someone just shake your bike or just touch it,
you get
phone, you will know.
Amazing.
It's just like an American new invention.
And I'm sure cars will come up with that. So what he's saying, there's bike locks that are connected to your cell phone via the internet. So if somebody interferes with that lock, you get immediately you get a notification on your phone. I mean, that technology is not future technology; it's already happening. I mean, I can set up a camera system that you can sit on your phone from anywhere in the world and see what's happening in your home or what's happening in your office. If there's an alarm activation, you get it, and you can also check on the screen. Yes, sir.
On that block thing that you're explaining, I think writing on your key for the car. Wherever you are, if not far from the car, let's say your car is in the parking somewhere, if somebody is on your car, the key would vibrate, you would hear that someone is touching your car.
Sure. We talk about futuristic technologies, but I'll speak to you, I'll show you a little video about the Internet of Things shortly. These numbers are mind-boggling, but there's more. Did you know, and this is now, I'm bringing it home to you guys, mostly you guys that are students, the amount of new technical information is doubling every 2 years. So every 6 months to a year, things are just doubling and tripling. And we can see that with every new technology that's coming out. This means that for a student studying a 4-year technical degree, and this is a global phenomenon, half of what they learn in their first year will be totally outdated by the 3rd year of studies. So come year 3, a student studying computer science at the most advanced university in the world, wherever it may be, is already outdated. Now,
we start Fortran these days. Really, it's amazing. Still, we are teaching Fortran and these things.
Yeah.
What about news?
What about?
What about news?
It is. But it's not really bad news, it's an opportunity. This is where we and my company at IT Varsity, we are fighting this and we are winning this fight because our work is totally different from other colleges. We don't employ lecturers, we employ software engineers to teach our students. So they know what's happening in the industry and they bring it. A new technology comes out this month, next month we are teaching it already. That's a difference, that's what's needed. Because if you look at South African universities, we got a unique phenomenon. From year 1, you're already outdated. From your first day, they're teaching you things that are 10 years old. No, I'm serious. I am serious. I taught at Durban University of Technology. I was a lecturer there. I still do a bit of contract lecturing. And I'm always fighting with them. I'm very unpopular. Very, very unpopular. Because I even spoke to the head of the IT department. I even spoke to the deputy dean of the university, who's a Muslim guy. I told him, you guys are outdated. How can you teach your students this stuff? This is crap. I mean, sorry for the language, but it really is. And I even had a contract to teach their lecturers app development. So I was teaching Durban University of Technology lecturers how to develop apps so they can teach that to their students. Alhamdulillah. And for me, it's not Bilal standing there in front, it's a Muslim standing there. That's what they must see. For the rest of their lives, as long as they are teaching, they must know that it was a Muslim that taught them how to develop this and how to teach our students. So what does it all mean? It means this. We need to race. What does race mean? It said, you know, we computer people, we like our acronyms, right? Read, learn, update. Number 2, anticipate problems and opportunities. See, the one thing you can hand it to the West, especially guys in America, they can see trends that are going to happen. And when they see, they prepare for it from now. So something is going to happen in 10 years, they've already started planning for it. Create options and solutions. If it's not for us, it's for our kids, those generations that are coming after us. I say, and I always say this, if the Ummah of today, the Muslim Ummah of today is in a mess, then let's not that Ummah of tomorrow be in a mess. That Ummah that's still in the incubator, we have an opportunity of changing it now. So in the next 15, 20 years, we're going to see a totally different vision of what Saudi Arabia is or what the Middle East is. We're going to see the next technological powerhouse of the world coming up from there. It's possible. Just open up an IT varsity there. Execute, only results count. Talk doesn't count. All the talk in the world is not going to get you there. You need to take the first step. Person wants to go for Hajj, talk about it your whole life, you're going to get nowhere. Allah Ta'ala has made a system in this world. Little bit of action and Allah follows that up with the rewards. You know, one of my sheikhs, you know, he told us about this when Musa alayhi salam, when he came to the Red Sea to split it, Allah Ta'ala could have split it, but he made Musa alayhi salam do something. What did he do? You know, if you think about it, it was totally unnecessary. It wasn't necessary at all because no stick, you can go and hit the ocean with your stick your whole life, it's not going to split. Allah Ta'ala asked him to do that. Why? Action and reaction. To say that for every action, there must be a reaction. The reaction is up to Allah Ta'ala. So we make the action, we make the effort, Allah Ta'ala will show us the rewards. So we need to learn to execute. Some questions we need to be asking ourselves, especially the younger generation. How many books a month do I read? Or in today's terminology, how many blogs do I read? And how many are about technology? What opportunities do I see for myself, for my future wife, for my children? What do I see in terms of technology? What are the potential problems? What are my solutions? What are my results for this year? And on the subject of reading, it's a very sad state here in South Africa. I used to live in Johannesburg, which is 600 kilometers from here. And I used to live in a town called Lenasia. And Lenasia has, it's like, you know, when you're in there, you feel you're in the Middle East, because everybody is a Muslim there. It's almost 100% Muslim population. In every street, there's 2 or 3 masjids. When Adhan time comes, every 15 minutes you're hearing an Adhan. I know for you guys that's normal, but for us living in a non-Muslim country, it's unusual. But the one thing that Lenasia lacked was a bookshop. There was no bookshop. So one day I went to CNA. Now CNA is like, they sell books and stationery. But the one at Lenasia didn't sell books at all. They sold CDs, video games, stationery. So I asked the manageress, I asked her, but guys, what is this? Your book selection is pathetic. So she says to me, we keep what we sell. We kept books. Nobody is buying books here in Lenasia. But everybody's buying music, everybody's buying DVDs, and everybody's buying video games, so we keep that. So we had to travel out of Lenasia to another shopping center about 20 minutes away just to go and buy books. You know, my sons and I, we love reading books. Now, what does that tell you? That's a direct indication that Muslims don't read books. And it's common. You go to a school, you go to a university, you talk in a masjid, you ask people, raise of hands, how many of you read a book in the last month? You're going to get maybe 1 or 2 hands up. Now, if we are not reading and we're not updating ourselves, we're not becoming aware of what's happening in the world around us, how are we going to be leaders of tomorrow? How are we going to be leaders? How are we going to take this ummah from darkness into light? We're not even good enough for ourselves. How are we going to lead the whole world into the light? So brothers, how many books do I read? These are my contact details. Obviously, you are going to get them, but if you pull out your camera now, I'm going to give you 10 seconds and just take a snapshot of this. I mean, does anybody still write all this? Okay, you guys understood that, sorry, Matthew, your name? Ibrahim. What Ibrahim is saying is, sorry. What Ibrahim is saying is, in his hometown, there's a sheikh that uses Twitter, but then he'll give a talk that to the women not to use Twitter. My take on it is this. I can easily jump on and say this guy's got a double standard here, right? But I can also, to an extent, I can understand the concerns that the sheikh has, and I'll show you some of that. You see, when people are given something, especially this technology, don't do that. I've got, like I said, I've got 3 sons, they've got laptops, they've all got cell phones, but there are very strict rules around how they must use this technology. So generally what I find is we as parents, as sheikhs in the masjid, we feel lazy to tell people about the rules and enforce those rules, so we just cut it off altogether. But we don't realize, by cutting this off altogether, we are depriving our people of these opportunities. Our women, for example. Now, my wife is also, she dresses up in the hijab, no problem. But she's also very active on the internet. She speaks to, my sons go to, they don't go to school, we're homeschooling them, so she speaks to other parents, she gives her ideas, she defends Islam on Facebook where people attack Islam. Now, that's how it's supposed to be used. So we got this. My sons are into computers and programming and app development. I showed you a picture of my youngest son, Zakaria, who's teaching other kids to program computers. That opportunity is there. I'm creating a future for them in technology. But they're also very aware of the dangers that are out there. They know the rules. You never ever, one of my eldest son, he's now 16 years old, when he was about 6, he put his name, his address, his phone number and everything onto his Facebook profile. And because I'm a parent that takes an interest in what my children are doing, I saw that and I stopped him. I said, you don't do this kind of thing because there's bad people out there that prey on young kids like you. So put your name, but leave out all the other information. So it's the same with our females. You know, with us as Muslims, keeping in mind the laws regarding hijab, our women are a huge potential, how can I put it? They are a resource, an intellectual resource for the Ummah that we haven't tapped as yet. You know, why did Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam marry Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha? Why? Because she was a potential resource. She would take his most personal teachings out to the world. Now we need to do that. We need to train our females. There's going to be, you know, what I'm saying, there's going to be a lot of controversy around this, but you know what, I need to say what I need to say. We need to teach them to use this technology for the best. I've trained people that came to my college, women, Muslim women, full hijab, right? I've never seen them. They used to sit in the back of the class and do their thing. Today, some of them are running thriving businesses. From where? From home. They never see their clients. Their clients never see them. They discuss whatever over the internet. She does the development for them. She uploads into the server and it's done. She just collects her money via EFT, via funds transfer. So there we have it. It's an opportunity, like I said, to do wrong things, and it's an opportunity to do a lot of good things. A lot of Muslim females in my family, students also ask me, hey, but this guy is attacking Islam and the Muslims. What can we don't know what to do. We don't know what to, because nobody taught you what to do. So we say, nah, don't use internet. But they are using it. The Zionists are using it. You know, during the height of this last action the zulm that they were doing on Gaza, I had so many Zionists following me on Twitter. I'm thinking to myself, yeah, I'm a Muslim. Clearly on my picture you can see this is a Muslim here. But why are these guys following me? You know why? I'll tell you. In the hope that I'll follow back. And then they can start tweeting me all their nonsense. They're active. Their women are active. Their children are active. We are not. Homosexuals are active. They marketing their cause. Gay rights. You are a homophobe if you don't accept that. Muslims, don't use technology. Technology is bad. Technology is dangerous. There's pornography out there. Pornography is there, but you know Allah is also there. He's watching you. You're not going to go and use it when you know Allah is watching you. So there's ways, measures that we can protect ourselves and our families. Okay, I want to speak about something else. This is my last presentation for today. Some of you are breathing a sigh of relief. Thank God. Now, most of you know about this, you know what I'm about to say, but it's something that is for the benefit mostly for those that are not aware. Now, the one thing about being in the technology field is that we get to live this technology before we teach it. We basically teach what we are living. I want to show you how technology has affected almost every aspect of our lives. Take this guy, give him a name. Let's give him a name. What shall we call this guy? Saul. Saul.
Green eyes.
Green eyes. What's the word for green? Akhdar. Alright, let's call him Akhdar, right? So Akhdar, he works in an office, right? He owns a computer at his office. He's got his personal laptop. He's got a mobile phone. He's got a tablet PC. And he's got a smartwatch. Nothing out of the ordinary. Most of us are almost there or already there, right? And all of these devices are connected to him in some way or the other. And how are they connected? Via the cloud. Via the internet, they are connected to each other. So if he does some work on his office computer and he saves it into his Dropbox, it's automatically, when he goes home, it's there on his laptop, there on his tablet, there on his phone. Now, when you look at him, he's living in an ecosystem of technology, of gadgets. But his ecosystem is not an isolated one. He lives in an ecosystem that he shares with other people. So everybody has their own ecosystem, and everybody's ecosystem is linked to everybody else. So via your laptop or via your mobile PC, right now some of you may be texting your family back home. They've got their own ecosystem, you have your own. So the internet and the cloud has brought everybody together like this. It's brought us into a kind of a jama'ah. It's a gathering. You know, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Islam itself is very big on networking. Mahmoud, I'm quoting you now. Islam is very big on networking. This thing about social living, first and foremost, Islam is called, we are known as what? An ummah. We are known as a ummah. Why? An ummah, the word ummah means a gathering, it's a group of people. Let me ask you a question. If you perform your salah at home, is there anything wrong with that salah?
It's okay.
No. It's acceptable, right? But why did Rasulullah say perform your salah in the masjid?
To gather people together.
Gather people together. Unity. The unity of my ummah is in the straightening of the safs. You see that? Hajj. Why didn't Allah Ta'ala make a different Hajj for different nations in every different part of the year? Why Hajj one time of the year for everybody? Why? Gathering. So in the masjid, let's start from the home. Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, when you're eating, how did he teach us? Everybody eat in their own rooms? No, eat together. In the masjid, together. Can you see that? So from the home, it starts. Masjid, community, Jumu'ah. Now everybody is reading in a separate musalla. Come Jumu'ah, they go to the Jamia. And everybody reads their salat in the Jamia. Gathering in the city. Countries and nations during Hajj and Umrah. Can you see that? So Islam is very strong on internetworking. We should identify with things like social networks more than any other religion, because for us, our religion is all about connecting with each other. We are instructed to connect with each other. In the Quran, we are instructed. In the Hadith, Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam instructs us that go and meet your Muslim brothers. This is the beauty of this ummah here. And how nicely Allah Ta'ala puts it in the Quran, different nations, different languages, different colors, different, traditions, but we are all one single ummah. So in this way, technology actually takes the teachings of Islam and brings it together in a far more convenient way. Let's talk about some apps, all right? This is the Google Calendar app, or the symbol. There's the Google Calendar app. So we can keep track of what's happening in the world around us. Gmail. Your emails are wherever you are. You lose your phone, you lose your computer, you can just go and log in somewhere and you got all your emails back. Mango is an airline company in South Africa, and you guys know, you probably already did this. You booked your plane seats, right? From your computer, from your phone, you can even book exactly which seat you want to be sitting at, and when you go, it's already there. Twitter is the most, and some of you may be surprised when I say this, Twitter is the most powerful social network. Much more powerful than even Facebook. Thanks to what?
Dynamic.
Hashtag. You know how powerful the hashtag is? It's dynamic. It makes Twitter dynamic because the hashtag brings together people from different parts talking about the same thing. So somebody in the back there is talking about a subject, somebody here is talking about a subject, the hashtag brings them together. So whatever you're talking about, the moment you hashtag it, it's available globally. One little tweet, can you imagine what capabilities Allah has put in the hands of this ummah? What power Allah has put in His hands here? You can hashtag whatever you want, you can get your message out there. Give you an example. I prepared some tutorials on our e-learning system, Java programming tutorials, and I put it out on Twitter and I hashtagged it. Not 2 hours later, I got an email from Oracle. Now Oracle owns Java. Oracle is one of the biggest IT companies in the world, one of the biggest software companies. I got an email from one of the product managers there at Oracle. I saw your tutorials, awesome stuff. How can we help you? I said, great stuff, oh nice. Nice opportunities to join up with companies, but how much better opportunities to do dawah amongst people of this world. To take that mandate that I mentioned in the beginning, that Allah Ta'ala has given us that responsibility, we can use technology. Sitting at home, you can do dawah today. Sitting at home, you can speak to people around the world. Accident. I mean, you're traveling somewhere, on Twitter you can see, hey, you know what, this highway, there's a bad snarl up, there's a bad accident, let's take an alternative route. What you're going to do, you're going to look at Google Maps, and you're going to say to Google Maps, find an alternative route. Can you imagine that? Phones that tell us where to go, give us guidance. We don't even have to go and ask for directions anymore. Our devices, if I told you this 10 years ago that you're going to have a phone that can tell you how to get from point A to point B, you'll laugh at me, you'll say, Majnoon, right? Skype, speaking to people around the world face to face. You didn't have to be here. You could have seen me, I could have seen you, thanks to Skype, thanks to Google Hangouts. Microsoft Office is now online also. This is a project management tool. You guys are working on projects. If you will be working on projects in the future, I'm giving you some free education on technology, right? So don't complain. We use Trello to manage our projects at work. And Trello is an online project management tool. So if I can look at my phone and see what everybody's doing in my office right now. Because anybody who's doing a task, they move into doing, and when it's done, they move into done. All the tasks. So I set out a task from anywhere in the world. I can say, right, you do this, do this, do this, do this, and do that. And I can see the progress of those tasks thanks to Trello. So if you guys are looking at project management, IPCI, it's free also. Google Analytics. I don't know if you guys know about Google Analytics. If you got a website, IPCI, this is very useful for you guys. How many people are visiting your website every day? From which countries are they coming? How long are they staying? Which are the pages they are looking at? Analytics tells you in one screen, it tells you all that information. Anybody recognizes this?
Yes.
Evernote.
We scan all the Googles, Yahoo's everywhere, search engine.
This one. This is not a search engine. This is a note-taking application. If you don't use this, please use this. Because every day we have ideas, right? Sitting in a car, going somewhere, even in our salat sometimes we have some ideas, isn't it? Not the best of times to have an idea, but we have ideas. Take it on your phone, Evernote it.
What is it called?
Evernote. E-V-E-R-N-O-T-E, Evernote.
What's the difference between this one and the note-taking program apps inside the Galaxy?
You can't go to big.
Very, very big difference.
No. Do you speak into that, or do you tap into it? And how do you access it? Just Evernote.
Okay, Evernote, let me tell you guys how it's different and how it works. Number one, it's very different because it's web-based, right? Although you download an app, if you got a Windows, a Mac, or a Linux, or an Android, or an iPhone, it's available on all platforms, right? Number one. Number two, you put a note onto, on your device, on your mobile phone, right? And you submit it. When you go back to your computer, it's already there, right? So it shares notes among all your devices. The other thing is you can put up not just notes, but you can put up web pages, links, photographs. So you take a photograph, say you got this notes here, you take a photograph, you upload it to your Evernote, it converts that image into text, it does the OCR for you, right? And it's even got support for multiple languages, so even if you've got Arabic text, it converts that for you. It's got a reminder application built in. So if you got your reminders, you need to meet someone, you got a task to do, you put it in there. For me, personally, Evernote just runs my whole life. I run my entire life, business, everything. Anniversary, you don't forget anniversary in South Africa, right? Wedding anniversary. I don't know how it is in your country, but here you forget your anniversary, you must go sleep outside with the dog. So everything is a reminder, and it tells you. It keeps tracks of your tasks that you are doing, your ideas. I get lots of ideas. As I'm sitting here, standing here, I'm getting ideas. So this is a very good app for that. Very, very powerful app. Try it and you'll know why I'm recommending it.
How do you spell it?
E-V-E-R. Yeah. E-V-E-R-N-O-T-E. Evernote. And here's a nice part. Shopping list. My wife and I both got Evernote, so we got a home list. She puts up something on the shopping list, it's on my note. So if I'm driving in a car and I say, hey, you know what, she's going shopping, I need something. So I just put it on that note, and it's all automatically on her list. So when she goes shopping, she can see it there. Okay, I need to buy this. So it's amazing what this technology is capable of, right? Dropbox, everybody knows. We use this very, very extensively. Right. I promised you earlier on I'm going to tell you a bit about the Internet of Things. Now I'm going to show you a little video about the Internet of Things.
Your next refrigerators may know more about your diet than your doctor.
How many objects do you have that are connected to the internet? About a decade ago, you probably would have said one or maybe two if you were an early adopter of smartphone technology. But today, I've got a work computer, I've got a personal computer, I've got a tablet, I've got a smartphone, I've got a video game console, I've got a media player, I've got a smart TV, I even have a smart refrigerator. Now, extend this trend outward, and what do we get? Well, it's estimated by 2020 there will be 50 billion objects connected to the internet. Now that's billion with a B. It's also estimated by the US Census Bureau that there will be 7.6 billion people alive at that time. So that means that for every person there will be 6.6 objects connected to the internet. We're talking about a world blanketed with billions of sensors. These sensors are taking information from real physical objects that are in the world and uploading it to the internet. It's a world where your environment transforms as you walk through it, because technology that you may not even be aware of is monitoring your every move. It's a world that's constantly changing all around us due to these sensors and the internet, and we call it the Internet of Things. Let's stroll into the living room of the future. Now, immediately, this room identifies you and taps into a cloud-based profile of preferences like climate control, music, lighting, and decor. Had a long day at work? The room knows, based on the calendar app on your phone and biosensors that detect the stress via blood pressure and heart rate. So it turns off the rockabilly surf guitar you usually listen to and switches to a more soothing classical music. From environmental sensors outside, and maybe even worn within your clothing itself, it knows it was snowing earlier. So the climate control begins to crank up the heat in anticipation as you walk through the door. Now, on the software side, we're talking about algorithms that are so sophisticated, they may be able to predict what you want before you know you even wanted it. So when you walk to the refrigerator, it tells you not only what's in there, it tells you what you can make with the stuff you already have. And it's already telling you what's inside and what's the perfect meal based upon your mood, your activity level, and maybe even, well, your weight loss plan for some of us. As for how many objects could be connected to the internet, well, consider this. The latest version of Internet Protocol, IPv6, creates more potential addresses than there are atoms on the surface of the Earth. So we're going to live in a world completely filled with sensors, with data, reacting to us, changing every moment dependent upon our needs. I'm no longer going to be asking you, hey, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite music? I'm going to ask you, what's your reality like? I know what mine is when I walk into my house, how the world reacts to me, but how does it react to you? This is more than philosophy. It's more than technology. It is altering reality as we know it. And it's all regulated by the Internet of Things.
That was the Internet of Things. It gave you a little better insight. And I'm done for today. I actually had one more presentation to do, but I think I'll move that to Friday because we've gone a bit over time. But we've got plenty of time on Friday, inshallah. But in the meantime, any questions? Anybody wants to say something? Moulana? Yeah, no, Evernote's got capabilities to do that directly. You just copy and paste. You know what I do sometimes when I'm reading a book on my Kindle, right? So with your Kindle, you can actually copy text. So I copy it. Like, say I came across something interesting that I'm going to use later on. Copy it, send it to myself via email, and then I put it onto my Evernote with my computer or my device. Mm-hmm. The nice thing about Evernote is that it's got a very powerful searching capability. Now, over time, you build up hundreds of different notes and pages. You just do a search and you can find it. You can sort it according to whatever suits you. So you have a notebook for example, your ahadith. You have a separate notebook for Quran. You can have a notebook for your home, notebook for something else. And then you can group notebooks together into, they call it a stack. So you can stack all your books together in your notebook. So you open up a stack, it's got all the notebooks for that, and then you can see inside your notebooks and you can search any specific notebook. And this is not searching Google or anything, this is just searching your own text and your own things inside there.
Well, will you be able to access that information if your computer crashes or buy another computer?
Absolutely. That's the best part about it.
That's what I need to know.
Computers crash, computers die, cell phones get stolen. All you need is your email and your password and you can connect. You're back in business within like 20 seconds. Somebody had a question. Yes, sir, Naeem.
Do you know sometimes people come to your institution to learn technology and things, right? And they will study whatever they need to study. Well, there's some people hackers.
Hackers?
Yes.
All right.
How do you handle that? I mean, how do you manage that person? generally everybody would come for a positive reason and good reason. For some time, many people come for wrong reason to study.
Yeah.
I study the technology and computer science, then I can steal and on and on. So how would you manage this?
There's no way for us to manage that. Now he wants to know people that can come to our college and learn hacking. One of the courses we offer is security, network security. Now network security basically teaches you how to be a hacker so that you can protect your organization that you're working for. Just to give you an example, the best network security specialists in the world are the best hackers also. So back in my hometown in Stanger, which is about 70 kilometers from here, there was this youngster, well, he's my age, but he was a youngster when he started doing this. He was into computers also, just like me, but he got into hacking. And he started hacking companies, and and one day he hacked one of the local cell phone networks, Cell C. They caught him. You know what they did to him? They gave him a job. That's good. They gave him a job because they saw that there's potential in this kid, and today he's doing well for himself. So hacking, we can't control who's going to do what with the technology that we teach them. But hacking is not all bad. Sometimes you can use, like Sheikh said about the drones, if you can hack into the drones, that's a good use for something like hacking. There's this group I want you guys to read about. They're called Anonymous. I don't know if you guys came across them. Yes. Group of hackers. Read about them and the things they achieve. I've got a bit of respect for them based on some of the things they did recently.
Regarding the privacy, some people say who are the background of the Gmail or Yahoo. So they say our details have been seen by many people. So in that case, what about your advice?
All right, I'll give you some advice around that. Okay, we'll finish off. The question was, when we are sending emails, we're putting our personal information on the internet. When it comes to hackers, how do we keep ourselves safe? Now, there's one thing you need to know, right? And this is a fact of the matter. This is a reality of our time. It's inescapable. You are receiving emails, WhatsApp, Twitter tweets, whatever it is. Somebody is listening to what you are saying. Somebody is scanning through your work, no matter who you are, wherever you are. And these are people worse than the hackers. You know what Edward Snowden, anybody heard of Edward Snowden? Yes. What he discovered was the US government was spying on its own citizens, and it was spying on heads of other countries. So the US government is spying on everybody, right? And if they want to, they've got these algorithms to pick up certain words or phrases that people are using, and it flags you based on that. So you need to be careful what you are saying and to whom you are saying it also. The other thing is, things that are of a personal nature, don't put it anywhere near the internet. Don't put it up onto the internet. For example, 2-3 weeks ago, there were these actresses whose Apple accounts got hacked, and they had very compromising pictures of themselves over there. So the question is, why the heck did you have to put all those pictures on the internet where it can be hacked? So things like that, very personal things, you'd rather keep them on your personal, on your local machine or on a desk somewhere, and only put things that you don't mind somebody, if somebody does catch on, you don't mind somebody seeing. Having said that, Sony PlayStation network was hacked, Apple was hacked, and a lot of credit card handling companies were hacked. It's a reality of life. You cannot be 100% safe. Just like if you say, hell, I'm not going to use a credit or a debit card anymore, I'm going to carry my money in my pocket. Here in South Africa, from here to the masjid across the road, you can get mugged, and then your money is gone. So you have to weigh the pros and cons of what you are doing, whether you want to live your life in online or you want to live your life in the real world, what you want to share, what you don't want to share. It's something nobody can tell you. You have to make that decision yourself, because hackers are out there and they are after your information.
Internet banking is something, how safe is it?
Internet banking so far in this country is very, very safe. There hasn't been an incident in this country where a bank has been hacked. I'm not sure about other countries, but I think here we can vouch for that. It's very, very safe.
Yeah, excuse me, Bilal. I'd like to appreciate what you have introduced to us, dawah through technology. I'm from Saudi Arabia, that we are working on a project that we're doing the dawah through internet use, through Twitter, website. I would appreciate if you can make a message for you how we can, let's say, do future plan with the dawah. Exactly.
Okay, Sheikh Zaki's got a question. He says, firstly, it's my pleasure. It's something I'm passionate about, so you don't have to even thank me, because I just love talking about technology, and I'm also passionate about deen. I'm passionate about my Muslim brothers and sisters wherever they are in the world. So it's, for me, it's something, doing what I love to do. What message I have to the youngsters here, you got the technology. My message to you is you got it in your hands, literally in your hands. You know how to use it better than us, right? Even though I'm a software engineer and I own a college and institute where we teach IT, I still go to my sons and ask them for advice sometimes when I'm stuck with things. You guys, Allah has given you a knack. Now use that knack. You're using it for fun. That's fine. Go ahead. Nobody's going to stop you. You're using social media for fun. Go ahead. But do your responsibility. Take at least 10% of your time, 15% of your time to use this for good work. Take some time to think about your Muslim brothers and sisters that are suffering no matter where they are, and speak something about it. I mean, we are 1 billion Muslims in this world. If we speak to on Twitter in a unified voice, can you imagine the impact that we will have on social? We will rule the social media just with our numbers. No matter who you are, which country you're from, which family you're from, it's not important. The fact is that Allah has given us this responsibility. And here's the scariest part. On the day of Qiyamah, when we are standing in front of Allah Ta'ala, and Allah is asking us, will He ask us what America did or what Israel did or what Europe did? No. He'll ask you what you did. He'll ask you, tell me what you did. When my servants were suffering, you had a responsibility of telling people what's wrong. You had a responsibility of guiding people to what's right. Did you do it or not? No, I didn't. Why not? I gave you technology. Why didn't you use this? You could have sent out one tweet also, but you didn't. And you know what they say in English? There's a saying, silence is complicit. When somebody is doing something wrong and you say nothing about it, you are just as guilty. And Allah will hold you as guilty. So yes, I always say this to my own family, my sons. While you're young, obviously you want to have fun, enjoy yourself. This technology is there for you. It's a toy also, it's something to work, but use it for your religion also. Use it for da'wah, use it for good. Start up a little blog, speak about this. And on Friday, I'll speak to you about how to approach these topics. Like Mr. Vahid mentioned earlier on, you can't just stand there and say anything anyhow. There's a way to say it that will make people understand. It'll make people believe what you are saying. It'll make them convinced. They'll buy what you're saying rather than saying it in a rough way. I don't know if that...
Yeah, I appreciate that.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والتين والزيتون وطور سينين وهذا البلد الأمين لقد خلقنا الإنسان في أحسن تقويم ثم رددناه أسفل سافلين إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات فلهم أجر غير ممنون فما يكذبك بعد بالدين أليس الله بأحكم الحاكمين.
I must say, the other day, meeting our brothers from Saudi was very, very enlightening, very interesting for me, and there's so much more I want to know about you people. Last time we covered technology in general, the growth of technology, the state of technology currently, where we expect it to go within the next decade. So as we saw, there's a lot of exciting things happening as far as technology goes. There's a lot of progress, there's a lot of advancements. As advanced as we've become, there's very little way to predict where technology is going to go in the next 10 years. Yes, we can make all sorts of predictions, but generally things just don't work out like that. They go in a totally different direction. Today what I'm going to do is, I want to focus more on the dawah aspects of technology, the benefits, the harms of technology, and the potential for dawah. Often I find there's a situation that arises where you get a person who knows dawah, and then you get a person who knows technology. It could be the same person. So you know dawah, you know technology. So the two knowledges you do have. But the problem is, you need a third type of knowledge, and that is, how do you marry the two together? How do you integrate them? Because knowing dawah and knowing technology doesn't necessarily mean that you know how to combine the two together. I mean, we have this situation with teachers, with school teachers, for example. We run courses for school teachers. It's called ICT integration in the classroom. How to get them to use technology in the classroom to make their lessons more exciting, more interactive. And we find there's lots of teachers who are really good at what they do, and they're also good at technology. But when it comes to using technology in the classroom, then they need assistance, they need guidance, they need somebody who's got the time to think about how are the best ways to integrate and marry these two. I'm going to start off today with a case study. Today is mostly, you'll see there's quite a few case studies that I'm going to do, but I'm going to start off with a case study, and this case study will outline one very, very important aspect of technology. The technology can work both ways. It can work for you, and it can work against you. If you don't do it right, this technology can really go haywire and work really, really against you. And the problem is, with us Muslims, unlike with other faiths and other people from other religions, when we do something right, nobody sees. And when we do something wrong, if a Muslim does something wrong, then it's a Muslim that did it. Not a man did it, or a person from South Africa did it, or a person from Durban did it. It's a Muslim that did it. You know how it is in the media. Now, we are always associated with our religion, unlike a Christian or unlike a Hindu. That could be a good thing or a bad thing. That could be, also just like technology, it could work both ways. So I'm going to start off this morning by explaining to you this, how technology can be used for good and bad, how technology can be to our advantage or to our disadvantage. And also, I want to underline something very, very important. On Monday, Advocate Vahid explained to you public speaking. He described public speaking. Now, I'm going to show you how technology is similar to public speaking, and it's also very different from public speaking. There's similarities, but it's also very, very different. So this slide is entitled Works Both Ways, and it's intended to show you how to use technology responsibly. Okay, first case study. What you got in front of you is a tweet by this lady by the name of Justine Sacco. It's self-explanatory, right? You can understand what's happening here. She's about to go on a trip from America to Cape Town. She's coming to South Africa, and she tweets this kind of statement: I'm going to Africa, I hope I don't get AIDS. As if everybody in Africa has AIDS. But then see what she says after that. She says, just kidding, I'm white. In other words, what's the indication here? What's the implication? The implication is only blacks can get AIDS, not whites. So this is a very, very racist statement. So she made this tweet. She jumped on her plane. It was a 12-hour flight. And she went through her flight thinking everything is well in the world. But in that time, in the 12 hours, that tweet was retweeted 3,000 times all over the world. And even mainstream media caught hold of it. What made things worse for her is that she works or used to work at a big marketing company in America, a big internet company. So that made it even worse for her. The moment she landed, she saw that she made a storm. She really created a problem for herself, and she got fired for making those statements. Not only did she get fired, but they're not even allowing her back into America because she wasn't a citizen. I think she was a South African citizen, but she had moved to America. So she lost everything basically because of this one tweet. Now, there's a lot of incidents like this. There's a lot of cases. And because of brevity of time, I won't go into all of them. But just do a Google search, and you'll find scenarios where people are getting themselves into trouble because of stupid things that they are saying online. Now, this is where we need to be very, very careful. Extremely careful. For a number of reasons. Number one, whatever you say online is instant. The moment you touch that enter button, it's gone. There's no way to bring it back, ever. It's out there and it's going to get retweeted, it's going to get shared, it's going to get emailed, it's going to get posted. There's absolutely no way. And the danger is, compared to public speaking, you will prepare a speech, isn't it? Anybody that wants to do public speaking, you'll prepare beforehand and then you'll come and then you'll deliver. And then when you are speaking, you're speaking to your audience, unless somebody is recording it. When you're writing something, generally when you write, before it goes to print, somebody is editing. So there are stopgap measures there. But online, none of that is present. You hit that enter button and it's gone. It's out there. You know, I just thought of an incident that happened to me in my early days as a software engineer. I was working at a big company out in Sandton, that's near Johannesburg, and I was a junior programmer. And the company that I worked for, their client was some of the biggest retailers in South Africa, like the mass stores that's owned by America's Walmart, right? So these guys are huge. And on my first week of the job, mistakenly, I deleted the entire stock database of mass stores, and I'm sitting there wondering how am I going to fix this up. Just that enter button. If I had not touched that enter button, I forgot to put the safeguard measures. We normally have safeguard measures when we're testing, especially on a live database. So I was testing, but I forgot to put the stopgap measures that allows you to roll back. You know, like your undo button, your control Z button. I forgot to put that, and mass stores is deleted. The entire stock's gone. So now I'm sitting there and I don't know what to do. I went to one of the senior software engineers and I told him, dude, I have a problem. So he asked me, no, don't worry, what is it? I told him I just deleted mass stores stock. He says, dude, you got a problem. So fortunately, alhamdulillah, they have regular backups. So every 12 hours they do a backup of the entire system. So I had to sit for a few hours and restore the backup. But between the last backup and that time that I deleted everything, there were new stocks that were uploaded. So the other software engineer, he says, you know what, he took a liking to me, he was my friend. So he says, they're gonna phone us and find out what happened to those stocks. We'll say we don't know, right? So there was about 7 or 8 new items that just gone missing from the database. We'll tell them, we don't know, it's just an anomaly in the system. But they had no way of knowing that everything was deleted and reinstalled. Now, that's the danger of technology. Anything you do can happen on a large scale. When you do good, it can happen on a large scale. When you do something wrong, something silly, it can also happen on a large scale. So whatever we say goes out there instantly. Second, whatever you say is immediately available across the globe. There's no, unless you got a very private profile, you know, on Facebook or Twitter, you can set your things to private that only certain people can access it. But generally, the default of this technology is that it's public, it's out there. So immediately, whatever you're saying is available to everybody, everywhere. Your words are permanent. The internet doesn't have a time limit where a tweet will last and then it dies quietly, or something you say. You know, one of the founders of Google, he said how nice if the internet had a delete button, that you just touch that button and everywhere, anybody's cell phone, anybody's computer, anybody's server that had that statement of yours could just disappear. But unfortunately, that's not the case. The reality of the thing is, when you say something, for that duration, it's heard and then it's gone unless somebody's recording it. But when you tweet something, it's there forever. And that will be evidence for you or evidence against you. And a lot of people got into legal trouble also because of stupid things they said on Twitter. Like somebody will say rather stupidly that he'll put some instructions how to pirate a movie, or how to pirate a video game, or how to pirate some music. And the moment he does that, that's a confession now. That's a confession, the police are on to him. And these guys get into trouble. So we need to understand that yes, being online has enormous power. There's a lot of power it gives you in your hands. But that power comes with responsibility also. We need to use that power. We need to harness it responsibly, otherwise it's going to be negative. We could cause negative or problems for ourselves and for others also. So we need to be very, very careful. Now, what I want to do next is I want to show you three sides of the internet: the good side, the bad side, and the really, really ugly side of the internet. That's what I'm going to do next. But before I proceed, does anybody have any questions? Anybody want to add anything, something in your own experience, that a tweet, a blog, something that went out and you know the results were surprising? Yes, Sally.
I only know of a lady when Mandela passed away. She was complaining. She tweeted something like, "Why is everybody paying attention to this?" And then she put some inciting words in it. The next morning she was fired from the job. She never got from the job because of that tweet on Twitter. She tweeted about Mandela's funeral before he was buried.
That's a common issue. One of my personal experiences, this happened about a month back. We on our website we put up tutorials, programming tutorials, Java programming tutorials, and I just tweeted it. It was a Sunday afternoon. I tweeted it. I says Java tutorials. I hashtagged it Java, and I put it out there. Not 2 hours later, I got an email from one of the product managers at Oracle, based in America. I mean, Oracle is only one of the biggest software companies in the world, and he says, "I saw your tutorial. I think it's awesome. How can we help you?" So I was like, "Okay, nice, alhamdulillah. Take me to Oracle and give me a good job there and pay me big dollars or something." But I'm just joking. But that's the fact. I just put that tweet out, and somebody in America, or I don't know where he was based, picked this up, and now alhamdulillah I'm in constant communication with them as to how we can improve our training at my college. So yes, it has the potential for enormous good, it has the potential for enormous bad, and the potential for a lot of ugly things. There's a lot of ugly things that are taking place on the internet. And this slide deck will speak about the good, the bad, and the ugly parts of the internet. Let's start with the good. When we think about whatever is good out there, I think this slide pretty much sums it up. All the things that are happening, the good things that are happening on the internet, there's no denying that the good by far outweighs the evil. Yes, there is a lot of evil, but the good outweighs. I mean, at the heart of it, I put dawah. Because that, for us as Muslims, that's our first responsibility as human beings, to kuntum khayra ummah, we're the best of ummah, but our mandate, our responsibility is dawah, to invite people towards good, forbid people from evil. But around that, there's so much. There's opportunities to connect with people, education. I'll show you specific examples, social, business. I mean, the internet has done amazing things for business as far as, you know, our dealings goes. With such ease, we can do business around the world. You can make payments, you can purchase items, etc. We all know about it. Just to show off a bit, I want to show off because my brothers are here from Saudi. This is an app. It's an e-learning, maths e-learning app. You remember I showed you the other day me winning that award? Well, this is why I won that award. It's for this application here. You see, I used to be a school teacher, right? And one of the problems I found with students is they are struggling with maths. Maths is like the worst subject for most people. But I diagnosed that problem, and I saw that because they don't understand the basic concepts, they don't have, understand the advanced subject. Maths, they say maths is a cumulative subject, meaning one thing leads to another, to another, to another. If you don't understand, for example, your times tables, then you will struggle with exponents, for example. So I decided to start giving my students lots and lots of worksheets. So I used to print out worksheets by the dozens and give them and just make them complete those worksheets, and as fast as they can, I used to time them. After a while I saw this is getting, number one, expensive because I'm doing a lot of printing, and number two, is just time consuming because every time I have to make new worksheets. So then I decided, hey, let's make a system that generates the worksheets automatically. So what it does is, it does this. It gives them worksheets. All right, this is a very simple, very basic worksheet. But the system generates that worksheet, and it times them. You can see it says on the top that time elapsed. So a child is doing the worksheet, and that the system is timing her as she's, or him as they are doing this. And when the worksheet is complete, I says, why not make the system mark it also? So then the system marks the work also, and it gives the child a report that you got so many right and so many wrong, and then it shows, just like a teacher would tick and cross wherever, and the parent would be able to come and see that this is what my child did. So every activity that the child does is recorded on that system. So if the parent says, son, go and do 20 worksheets and come back. So the son comes back after 1 hour and says, I did 20 worksheets. So the parent can go back in the system and verify how many worksheets were done, what was the results, how quickly it was done, what was the ultimate score. So alhamdulillah, I put this out there. It's a free application, and it got noticed, and we won. And it was really a big thing. The thing that I'm trying to do now is to take it from grade 4 right through grade 9 level, inshallah, and get some assistance as far as doing that. Another site that I find very inspiring. Who knows Khan Academy here? Everybody. Good. This is amazing stuff, right? And yeah, and what's the best part is there's a Muslim youngster that's doing this, and he's benefiting millions of people throughout the world. For those that are not familiar with Khan Academy, this is the guy in the video on the right side is Salman Khan, right? American guy. He's got some degree in, I think, in accounting. And so what he decided to do, his niece was having trouble on the other side of the United States with some school subjects. So he started making YouTube videos for her, just to tutor her, just to show her how to do well in her subject. And then the idea caught on, and he started making dozens of videos upon videos. I think by now they have like 2,000 to 3,000 videos that are out there on the internet. And he got noticed. The guy on the left, the picture is not too clear. That's Bill Gates, Mr. Microsoft himself. So Bill Gates noticed this, and he gave him a huge grant. And now, alhamdulillah, they're doing great work throughout the world. This is being translated. My sons are homeschooling. They use Khan Academy also. So that's another benefit of the internet. I mean, there's so much you can learn. If you want to learn languages, like I started, myself and my son, we started learning spoken Arabic. I can understand when I'm reading the Quran, but when you speak, I can't understand, right? Because of the dialects, the different dialects. So I wanted to learn Arabic. We went onto our website called busu.com, and we started learning Arabic. And now we converse with people Arab people from different parts of the world, and we can chat with them and speak to them in Arabic. Some of them want to learn English, so we teach them English. They teach us Arabic. How nice.
The website?
Busu, B-U-S-U-U.
So is Salman Khan a Muslim?
He's a Muslim. There was an interesting interview I saw about him. They have to bring that up. That so you're Muslim. Sort of in a sly way trying to tell him that how can a Muslim do something so good like this? And he put it nicely. He put it very, very nicely, because they don't believe that Muslims are capable of anything good. But alhamdulillah, whenever we do something good, we put it out there. And for us, it's not just Bilal is doing this, or not just this individual, but it's a Muslim that's doing this. This is the picture we need to portray. This is what happens when we take things too far with technology. Now the teacher gives this boy a sum, and he wants to phone technical support to get the answer. So she's telling him, you can't, you have to do this yourself. You can't phone technical support. This is a problem with education in this country and other places. There's a bit too much of reliance sometimes on technology. This is a website that I'm very, very impressed with, right? It's a very beautiful website. It's called 7 Cups of Tea, right? Now this is a site where anybody that's having any problem, any issue, that just needs somebody to speak to can go. So you go onto the site, you register, and you state what is the nature of your issue, and you ask to speak to a listener. That's all. Just to speak to somebody, just to know there's a human being on the other side that you can relate your problems to. They say a problem shared is a problem lessened, right? Sometimes something is on our chest, we just say it, we just want to say it to somebody. It could be a wife, it could be a brother, it could be a friend, but sometimes it's so personal, we need to say it to somebody that we don't know, so they can go onto this website. This is something, yes.
Can I be a listener?
You can be a listener. You can actually register to be a listener on this site. So when you go to the site, you'll see there's 2 links. Register to speak to somebody, or register to be a listener. Now, this is something that's been a vision of mine from a long time. To have this kind of site that's run entirely by Muslims. Entirely. So the advice that we give when people come, and we know it. I mean, in our country, there's such a huge problem. you know, in South African schools, we got teenage pregnancies, schoolgirls getting pregnant. They're getting into all sorts of habits. There's drug habits, there's social issues, there's marital issues, and people don't have somebody to speak to. Suicide rate is very, very high. Now, I decided, well, that time it was about 2 or 3 years ago, how nice if we as Muslims, we come up with a site similar to this, and these guys beat us, where we can go, where we can dispense, we can give advice, but with a slight dawah in it also. So we're giving advice, real, you know, realistic advice. We got social workers in the background that are doing this, you know, doing the listening and doing the advice, but it must have an element, a silver lining of da'wah there. So we give advice from hadith, we give advice from Quran, and you'll be amazed how many people will come to something like that. I mean, if you go, if you look at the statistics in the UK, for example, there's so many British women that are accepting Islam. Why are they accepting Islam? Because they found in Islam, they found comfort, they found peace, happiness. Sorry?
Protection.
They found protection, you know, and we need to take this message. I mean, Islam's got all the teachings, it's got all the answers. We need to take it to people and say, here it is. But sometimes it's nice to do it in a more discreet way, rather than in a more direct way. All in all, when you're looking at the internet, it's really, really good for communicating with people all over the world, people we don't even know about. And I want to give you a case study now. This is one of the most inspirational stories I've ever heard that, you know, about the internet. This young man on the picture on the screen, his name is Robert DeVille, American youngster. Now, he was diagnosed at a very young age with a genetic disorder that later in life, around about in his teens, in his late teens, it left him paralyzed from the neck downwards. That means he couldn't do anything from his neck downwards. All of his limbs were just paralyzed. The only thing he had control of was his face, his mouth, his eyes, you could hear. So his family put him into a care home, and that's where he lived for quite a few years. He's still living. And here's the best part. One day his one friend that was in the care home died and left him a cross, you know, a crucifix, which they put on his bed. And this guy, being in the bed so long, being in seclusion, he was asking for guidance. You know, he was asking God, in double quotes, for guidance. And one night he had a dream. And the dream was very little. The only thing he remembered from that dream was that it was the name Muhammad. So he woke up the next morning and he says, now where am I going to find out about this? What is this Muhammad? Because he never heard of Islam. He never heard of Allah's Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So he decided to go to the one place that we all know, Google. He had a special computer that was designed for him that had voice control. So he went, he started doing research, and he found out about Islam. And right there on his bed, not a single Muslim anywhere for hundreds of miles around, this guy through the internet, he accepted Islam, and he started to learn Arabic. So he contacted a brother in Egypt who he never met, and that brother via the internet taught him Arabic alphabet, taught him to read the Quran, and taught him a few surahs. So one day, this brother, Robert, was in his room reciting Surah Al-Asr. وَالْعَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ. And just so happened, see, there's no such thing as coincidence, right? It's all Allah Ta'ala's plans. The care home had just employed an Egyptian brother to be the janitor. And this brother, because of his long isolation from Muslims, was not a practicing Muslim anymore. He never used to read his salat, he wouldn't go for Jumu'ah because the nearest masjid was like 50 miles away. So he was kind of disconnected from his religion. But as he's walking past the room, he hears Surah Al-Asr being recited. Now imagine the surprise and the shock for him to see this or to hear this. So he goes into the room and he asks this youngster, what's that? So he says, I'm learning my surahs. So he says, but what do you know about surahs? He says, I'm a Muslim. And so the brother started to tell him, Robert was telling this Egyptian brother about his experiences. And here's the best part. He used to go on YouTube very, very often. And he used to listen. He took a liking to the talks of this one sheikh, Nouman Khan. And he says, you know, this man is my hero. I love his talks. Now, forwind a few years. 4 years later, it so happens that in a masjid, the nearest masjid from them, that same sheikh happens to be giving a talk. So the Egyptian brother comes there to the masjid and tells him, you know what, you are the answer to my du'as. So the sheikh wants to know why, what did I do? He says, come, I want you to meet somebody. So they go to the hospice and he meets this brother. And the moment he entered, this brother Robert, they recognized him, right? Because he was seeing his videos all the time. And he burst out in tears and he told him the whole story. And he says, you know, everybody there was crying. Because, especially the part where they asked him to read his surahs. Now imagine how Allah Ta'ala's power works. That a person sitting in a bed in Christian town, USA, and Allah Ta'ala gives hidayat right there. Without anybody, without any intervention from any Muslim. So Allah Ta'ala can guide with or without us, right? Via the internet, this person got hidayat. For me, this is one of the most powerful incidents that shows the power of technology when it comes to doing dawah. Had that sheikh's talks not been on the internet, I doubt if this youngster would have accepted Islam. Or I doubt he would have stayed in Islam if that brother from Egypt didn't help him to learn his surahs. But because he's got internet, he now feels part of a global family that whenever he needs to speak to somebody, the help is there. What we need, brothers, is more of that. We got a lot of it happening. There's a lot taking place, but we need more of it taking place. The question is, do we need to be tech savvy? Tech savvy means to be clued up with technology, to understand, to have a grasp of technology as Muslims. I think there's no excuses. This is the reality of our time. This is the power that Allah has given us in our hands. We need to take advantage of it, especially for us, older generation, especially for the shabab, the youngsters. What is the biggest challenge that we are facing is to get the youngsters active in matters of deen. In South Africa, this is a huge challenge because our youngsters are doing everything else. They're playing video games, they're surfing the web, they're hanging out with friends, they're in the shopping malls. But tell them, hey, come and let's do some dawah work, and it's like, some other time maybe, inshallah, get older. How do we entice the youth to get involved in dawah? How do we get them more involved in matters of religion? Very simple. What do they love the most? Technology. So now we need to leverage that technology to get them involved in deen. Because these people, those that were born from around about 1982, 83 to 2000, they're known as the millennials. Now what's unique about these millennials, this is what we call them, millennials. These people never knew a life without cell phones, without technology, without internet. Some of us, the older generation, we know about this stuff, but we don't understand, we're not looking at it from their perspective. They don't know our life without it. They don't know our life without that cell phone, but we knew sometimes the only thing we had, the most advanced thing we had in our pockets was maybe a calculator, a pocket calculator. But with these guys, they live with that cell phone. It's right next to them when they sleep. It's right next to them when they wake up. So it's an integral part of their life. Now, the question is, why not use that, why not leverage that to get them involved in deen for some benefit? I mean, we're using that for education. We saw the value of the internet when it comes to business and education and everything else, but what about for dawah? And these people, mind you, they are technically literate like no one else. They're like, it's almost as if they're born with these skills, while they're maybe in the womb, Allah somehow gives them that knowledge of technologies. When they're born, they know. I was speaking to a strangely enough, advocate sitting. I was talking to another advocate, very senior person, and he bought one of these fancy phones, and he says, I can't figure this thing out, but whenever I need something, I ask my 5-year-old son, and he just touches it and he sorts it out for me. Maybe he experienced this. The father is asking the little child for advice on how to sort his computer, on how to put parental controls. Irony, right? And it's not hard to believe. I mean, I'm a software engineer myself. I own an IT college, alhamdulillah, but I still turn to my sons for advice when I'm stuck with anything. And they just know stuff. They just got the time, they got the skill, they got the knack, and they know it. Any questions before we move to the next segment? Anybody wants to add anything? It's like I say, whatever, it's an open discussion. Please, if you want to come up in front and say something, you're welcome to do so. And the only dumb question is, which one? The one you didn't ask. Inshallah, at least when you go back home, you'll remember me by that. Yes,
you were mentioning about some websites like Khan Academy, also 7 Cups. Are they all free?
All free.
And do you have any Islamic also like that, as you know, like?
Not that I know of. Not unfortunately, I don't know of any that's got encyclopedic Islamic information. But who knows? Maybe the result of this get together here will be to establish something like that, inshallah. Yes, sir.
I just want to add something. You talked a lot about these websites that teach people, and it's really helpful. I had my personal experience, but just to give a small answer to Mr. Altaf, we have a new website in Saudi, or Arabic one, that's called Riwaq. I think most of you know it. Riwaq.
Okay.
Riwaq have the same, it's not exactly the same, but it has the same main idea about how to teach people online. So there is professors who got their subjects and have their exams, and they're communicating with their audience, and they have like thousands of people watching them. It's a really a new project. It's completely done by Arabic and Muslims' hands, and it's totally free.
Shukr, very well, very good, alhamdulillah. Riwaq, I'm going to check it out. So it's only available in Arabic currently?
Well, I guess so, yes, but it talks about engineering, medicine, education, like too many things. So it's just trying to, it's an Arabic project that's trying to compare itself with these big projects.
Very nice. I think there must be some way, we should establish some way where we can inform each other about things like this that are taking place in the Muslim world. I know there are things taking place because I'm in technology. People come and they've got ideas or they are doing some initiatives. It'd be so nice to get a sense and put it all together and show the world, hey, you know what, this is what Muslims are doing. By the way, brothers, I've just got this form, if you don't mind filling in, just your names and your email addresses, so I don't lose contact with you after we've separated. I think we'll pass it around as it's coming around. Please, if you don't mind filling it. Okay, let's go to the bad now. What's happening on the internet? The bad things that are happening on the internet. Where there's good, there's always potential for bad. It's an example that I gave of the car, for example. You can use your car for good things, or you can use it for bad. It's the same with the internet. One of the biggest problems on the internet is hackers that are breaking into databases, stealing people's information. But there's lots of other things. Sorry? Deleting. Well, hackers are not doing all bad work. Some are doing some good work, like they're hacking sites that are that are harmful. There are lots of cases that I came across. Then you've got the scourge of pornography on the internet. I don't know what's the situation there, but in the more Western countries like here in South Africa, in the United States, it's a huge problem where people get addicted to internet, they get addicted to pornography on the internet. It's almost like a drug. Then you've got the one thing that I'm going to speak about, you see in the bottom right corner, is trolls. Trolls are people that got nothing better to do than to go and create problems for others on the internet by saying things that are hurtful, by saying things that are derogatory. That's a huge problem. When it comes to kids, especially cyber bullies and sexual predators, those that we have, what I do is I run a separate workshop for parents on how to keep kids safe online, because I mean, kids are there, they're online, they're on the internet, they know the stuff better than us. How can we keep them safe? Now, one of the biggest problems that children face on the internet is cyber bullies, where just like in a playground where one person may bully another, in cyberspace also there's a lot of bullying taking place. And the bullying day is a different type. It's name calling. Sometimes it's about putting up a picture. Like there was a situation where some students, they took a picture of one of their classmates and they attached it to the body of a girl, and they put it out and everybody was laughing. So although it seems like harmless fun, sometimes it causes a lot of problems, it causes a lot of pain to the victim. All right, so cyberbullying is a big problem, and it's not always kid versus kid. Sometimes it's the kids versus adults. There was a case in Johannesburg where the students of a school, they photoshopped the picture of the principal onto a woman's body also. I think it was a very scantily dressed woman, and they put it out, and it circulated all over the school. They found out, they prosecuted those students, and they got expelled from the school. So, I mean, these things are happening. We need to keep ourselves and our kids safe. Sexual predators, this is a bad one. It happens more in the Western countries where there's a lot of freedom, where kids, Dad, I'm going, I'll see you at midnight, and parents are not aware of what's happening about their children. They're not, there's no parental care. So we have these kind of things where people come on online posing as children. Sometimes they pose as maybe a 12-year-old, and then they start talking to a child, and they sort of befriend that child. It's called grooming. It's a process called grooming, where they're grooming that child. And then afterwards, then they start asking the child to do certain things, like either to send some pictures or to meet up in real life somewhere. Hey, I'm going to McDonald's. Why don't you come and meet me? And then next thing you know, that's a child rapist or a child pornographer, and there's big problems. In our workshop, although this is not the context, because this is not the context, I didn't bring these, but I've got case studies of really bad situations that came about because children were not properly supervised, and they went out, and there were disastrous consequences. Like, for example, this one American girl, 16-year-old girl, her name was Ashley Hall. She thought she was talking to a young, handsome youngster about her age on Facebook, but meantime, it was a sexual predator. This guy was like 39 years old, and he was a known sexual offender. He had been arrested before. So he enticed her to meet him. She met him, and when she met him, he said to her, you know what, that boy you're going to meet, I'm his father. So she went with him in the car thinking that, she's going to meet this guy, and he raped her and he murdered her. So these things happen. In South Africa, there were a lot of incidents like that. Now, we need to keep ourselves and our kids safe from these things, because just as, for example, we always, we use this as an analogy, as Muslim parents, we're not going to allow our kids to roam out there on the street, in a shopping center or anywhere alone, unsupervised, our 12, 13-year-old daughters, for example. But when they are online, they may be in their rooms, but on that phone or on that computer, they are out there, and there's a lot of danger for them out there. How do we keep them safe? So that's another workshop that I do. Inshallah, when we meet again, we'll do that one, how to keep kids safe on the internet. Okay, now some of the ugly things that people don't generally like to talk about that takes place on the internet. These are some of the things that I'm going to talk to you about. Really, really ugly stuff. For example, the value of the mobile porn industry, not the internet porn industry, just the mobile porn industry is $2.3 billion US. It's big business. It is big business, and they are pumping this business across the globe. And they are not interested in who's watching, as long as they are getting their customers. That's the main thing for them. We need to counter this, we need to protect our children. And believe me, I always say this, in a workshop I say this also, good technology is not a substitute for good parenting. Technology can't protect you from technology, because parents ask, but can't we put parental controls and safeguards on our machine? No, you can't, because kids will break that. I'm digressing, I know we have very little time, but when I was living in Johannesburg, a mother approached me. She had this 11-year-old kid. I think by now he's about 16 or 17 years old. And she suspected something. The mother's intuition, they got this feeling, we can't hide anything from our mother. We can lie to her, but she knows we're talking lies. So she phoned me and says, you know what, I think my son is doing some nonsense on the internet. Whenever I'm gone, he's doing something. We got parental controls and everything, but I'm suspecting. So I went, I checked it up, I saw the history files, nothing, parental controls are there, everything perfect. I assured her, you know what, nothing wrong here. She phoned me back after a couple of weeks. She says, you know what, I suspect something is happening, I don't believe that there's nothing. So I did something terrible. What I did was, I installed spyware on the machine, right? Spyware now basically, whatever is happening on their machine, it tells me. Obviously with their permission, although I can install it without anybody's permission. So whatever you're doing on your machine, I'll know. Into your bank account, yes, I know. Your password, yes, I know. Right, that's common knowledge, right? I'll show you, I'll tell you how to protect yourself and things like that. So anyways, I installed the spyware, and what was happening, whenever anybody is surfing anything on their computer, I was getting reports on my computer. This side, this side, this side, and bang, I caught it. This kid was watching things he's not supposed to be watching at 11, 12 years old. And then I went, I spoke to the mother, I said, you know what, don't explode. Handle this with hikmah, right? And so I sat with the kid, I told him, see, you've been doing something naughty on the internet. And he denied it, he said no. So when I started listening to him, the sites that he was visiting, then I could see his whole demeanor change. So I explained to him, look son, this is not right, you shouldn't be looking at things like this. So these things happen. So parental controls will not safeguard us from these things, because these kids are just too sharp. They're just too sharp. It happened in my own home where at one stage, my sons are very active on the internet, but my eldest son was about 8 or 9 years old, and on his profile, I think it was his Facebook profile, he put his name, his surname, his physical address, his telephone number, and because I take an active interest in what my children are doing, I saw that. I mean, that's dangerous for a child that age to do, because you're inviting problems. So I saw it, and I made him remove that. Just put your name and your surname, that's all. Don't say where you are and everything, because you don't want people preying on you. Now, no amount of parental controls would have prevented that from happening. It was a normal, legitimate site that he put his details on, and that information could have gotten into the wrong hands. And this is the problem. 75% of children are willing to share personal information online. And when I say personal, kids are innocent, so they'll say anything, whatever they need. My mommy's got a jewelry kept in this drawer here. Now there's people that are listening to all that, and they'll say anything that they are asked, because they think on the other side is a friend, but they don't know it's a predator. 20% of children, this is research that was done in the United States, right? It's not, might not reflect what's happening in Saudi or in Muslim countries, but we can learn something from this. 20% of children receive sexual approaches online. Whether they were taken advantage of or not, but the fact is there was an approach. That's a big number of people. 1 out of 12 children go on to meet an online friend in real life. Usually that ends up in disaster. It happened here in South Africa. I think it was in Johannesburg a few years back. This girl disappeared, schoolgirl. She was about 15 years old, and it was a big thing in the whole city. It was a Muslim girl, and it was radio stations, police, everybody was just looking for her, announcement over announcement. So it was a Friday she disappeared. On Monday she waltzes in back home like nothing ever happened. What happened? She was with her friend that she met on Facebook the whole weekend. Now Allah knows what happened and what enticed her to go and do something like that to humiliate her family, but she did it, and it was a disgrace to her and her entire family. So these things do happen. Cybercrime. Cybercrime costs $100 billion annually, costs companies. And this is very, very serious. I mean, most of us might have received emails from companies or from websites that we are registered on. Please change your surname, we had a problem. Please change, not your surname, sorry. Please change your password, we had a problem, we had a breach in security. It happens. I mean, recently Apple was hacked, and then before that Sony was hacked, and then some of the big banks, Israeli government was hacked.
So this is global, huh?
This is global.
We've seen a lot last year, even in my company.
Yeah, it's happening.
Cyber crime, about 1 month ago. Not making any internet.
What specifically are they targeting in your company?
Getting all bank information.
Oh.
They get all
It's the biggest company in our country.
Sorry?
It's the biggest company in our country. It controls the oil.
Saudi Aramco. Yeah. You work with Aramco. All right.
They cyber attack, if you remember, a long time last year, the year before, sorry. And all information have been hacked, let's say cyber, and all data was disappeared.
Sure.
And our PCs,
yeah,
PCs as well, including the banks. But luckily we have some backup, And this backup doesn't back up our PCs too, only the main backup. But we did a lot of firewalls and a lot of things. We see some cyber every month.
Yeah, I mean it's nobody is safe really. You can do what you want, but nobody is really safe. I mean, some of these guys are so clever. There's this group. I don't know if you guys heard of this group called Anonymous.
Yes.
They are. There's not one group. It's actually people scattered around the globe that are working together, and they're untraceable. They're doing things that are amazing. You know, not good amazing. Sometimes good amazing, but not always good. But it's untraceable. And how they do this is they'll never hack somebody else's computer with their own computer. What they'll do is, and we need to protect ourselves from this. What they do is they'll zombify a machine. It's called zombify. You know, you guys know what's the meaning of zombie. You know that like that living dead. So they take control of a machine, of your machine, without you knowing it, right? Of a personal machine. So the guy can be somewhere in Australia, for example. He'll send a malware onto your computer that basically takes control. Now you on your side, you don't know what's happening. You don't know that this just happened. The only thing you notice, hey, my computer has gone a bit slow. You don't know why it's gone slow, but meantime your machine is zombified. What they're doing is they're hacking somebody else's computer using your machine. You see? So you'll get the blame for it. But it's happened where, you know, the cops, the police came and they saw, they traced the hack to somebody's house and they say, hey, there's no hackers here. But then they traced it back and they said, no, it was somebody that zombified this machine. But they went to the source of that and they found that that was also zombified. So they create a trail of machines that they zombify. Now, rule number one, very, very critically important, do not ever open attachments from emails that you don't know. I mean, I get this all the time. Some people offering me like £1.5 million pounds that some uncle in London left for me, but just open the attachment. Brother, straight in the box, in the spam box, delete it at the same time. Because in that attachment, there's not a PDF attachment, it's not a Word attachment, it's actually a program that's going to run that zombifies your machine. The other thing is, don't visit dodgy sites. There's a lot of websites that, you know, especially kids, because of curiosity now, my son was guilty of this. What he did was, he wanted to download a game. Illegal, first of all, but I caught him. So he wanted to download a game, so he went to some dodgy site and he downloaded. They said, please click on this link. The moment he clicked on that link, it installed malware onto his machine, onto his computer. So I picked that up because I'm monitoring the network at home. It's very easy for a parent to monitor what activities are taking place on the router. So the router will tell your computer who's visiting, what site they're visiting, what's happening. So it alerted me, and I picked it up and I said, hey, you know what? One of my sons is doing this. So I went immediately, we blanked that machine and we reinstalled everything. And I want my son, stay away from these online games. These are dangerous. So it may seem like, but I'm just an ordinary school teacher, or I'm an ordinary student. Why would anybody want to hack me? They're not hacking you for you. They're hacking you to hack somebody else's computer. They're zombifying your machine so that they can use your machine for other purposes, and it can get you in trouble. And also, next thing is your Wi-Fi. At home, most of us got Wi-Fi, right? Make sure that Wi-Fi signal is secure. Because what happens is, there's been lots of incidents where guys come and they park near your house, and if they see there's a Wi-Fi network open, they'll log into the internet via your network, and then they'll start doing all wrong things. So this one incident, I think it was in Australia, if I'm not mistaken. The guy was reckless. He had his Wi-Fi network open. A child pornographer came and he used to use that network. It was in his neighborhood. And guys, pick it up. Huh? If your Wi-Fi network is open, somebody will pick it up. So this guy started downloading child pornography using his neighbor's Wi-Fi. And the neighbor got into trouble. But eventually they proved that it wasn't him. It was somebody else in the neighborhood. So keep that Wi-Fi signal locked, password locked. And better still, hide it. You guys know about hiding your network. Yes. So there's no one can see your network also, unless somebody who knows the name of your network. So hide it and keep it locked down.
How do you do hiding? Let's say you have you can download.
No, you don't. You see, you got your router, right? The router's got its own settings. One of the settings on the router, it's different for different routers. You can ask your service provider, but you ask them how do you hide the network. They call it the the SSL, I think it is. I'm not too clued up with networks and things. It's called the SSL, the name of your network. So the router gives you a checkbox there, should this network be hidden? So you check it and you save it. It's that easy. So you hide the network and only your devices will be able to detect that, will be able to find your network. So that's the next thing. Other things, I mean, there's a lot of other measures, but then I'm digressing and we're going to run out of time just now. Okay, 1 in 10 social media users have fallen victim to scams. You know, social media, there's lots and lots of scams taking place. We need to be careful. Some of them are really quite convincing. And I mean, I get this very often. I get a notification from Facebook, sometimes from Twitter. But when I look at the link, it's asking me to click on this link to see your messages. When you look, before you click on the link, especially on your email, hover over it. At the bottom of your browser, you'll see where it links to. So it'll say, click here to access Facebook. It's not Facebook. It's going to link you to somewhere else, to some other dodgy site, and then they'll take advantage of your machine when you go to that page. So we need to be very, very careful. All right. Any questions before we proceed? Yes, brother.
You mentioned about the bad and the ugly points, but they were including a very good bad point. But what do you think about throwing misconception about the religion, and in which category that would fall?
Ugly. You're a step ahead of me. That's why I like working with people like you. You know, the question is, what about creating misconceptions about religions and things like that? I didn't mention any of that because I left that for ugly, because that's bad, but it's worse than bad for me. It can get very, very ugly. So these youngsters are always a step ahead of me, and I like that. Okay, so the next case study that's coming up.
You mentioned about downloading. We have a problem, the personal problems. For example, if you want to buy a Microsoft or these things, at least if you want to buy official one, you have to pay 1,000 riyal, equaling 2,050 rand, 2,100 rand. But the moment we go to the internet, we find very free of charge. Nothing for it. I mean, paying 1,000 riyal for just 2 or 3 applications, it's kind of like I will spend my whole salary on buying application. In the meantime, while I can find them free of charge on the internet. So.
Yeah, okay, the question is, software is so expensive, right? Yet it's freely available. Why should I spend that money on software when I can get it free? I mean, Windows, for example, you can download from any torrent site, any game you want, any software you want. Any movie you want. Now, the problem is, it's an ongoing debate, the debate around copyrights. Now, does Islamic law recognize copyrights or not? Is copyrights in Sharia, is it tantamount to stealing, breaching a copyright? So for example, if you're downloading a movie, right, well, you shouldn't be downloading a movie. But is that, or you're downloading some tracks, is that a copyright, is that haram, is that a stealing or not? Now, different ulama are going to give you different views. I think you do what you feel is right. The one thing I'll advise against downloading and using software is that generally software that you download for free, pirated software, is full of malware in itself. So that's the example I gave you about my son. You know, he downloaded a game, I think it was Minecraft, and it was bundled. The game was legitimate, but it was also bundled with malware, and that messed up his computer. So sometimes you think you're downloading a legitimate software, Microsoft Windows, but sometimes Microsoft themselves does that. They make it freely available on a certain torrent site, but they put malware. And that thing talks to their computers. Remember, the moment you're online, that pirate software is already talking to the manufacturer. There's very little you can do to prevent that sort of thing from happening, unless every time you're going to use that software, you lock down your network, or you're off your router or something like that. So yes, you can. There's a lot available for free, but I don't personally recommend it because there's a lot of dodgy stuff out there. You could end up with a problematic situation. And in any case, a lot of software does come bundled with your with your computer, like the operating system. But here's another thing. I'm a big advocate of free software, open source software. Almost everything that you can imagine that there is a paid version, there's also an open source version. Microsoft Office, for example. If you can't afford to pay for Microsoft Office, and I can't afford it, there's free versions like Open Office, graphics tools, photo editing, sound editing, no matter what you think of, it's out there. There is freely available versions available. So I recommend you use those rather than using pirated stuff. Okay, now I'm going to give you a case study of trolls. Earlier on I said I'm going to explain to you trolls. Now this is directly answering my brother's question, Ibrahim, huh? Yeah. Ibrahim's question about things that go on the internet. Now trolls are people who got nothing better to do than to come and cause problems. The moment somebody says something, anything, you get this idiot comes there with not even a real name, and I'll give you a case study example, who will just come and say something that's off topic or say something that's derogatory, that just stirs people up. And the biggest victims of that is Muslims, because people know that Muslims are very close to their religion, and there's nothing to be ashamed of. Whether you are a sheikh or whether you are a software developer or whatever you are, we Muslims, we take our religion very seriously. Unlike other religions, we take it seriously, and we don't take insults to our religion very lightly. Now, sometimes we get apologetic about that, and we say, they say, but why are you so fundamentalist? We're not fundamentalists. We're just serious about our religion. If you take, for example, Apple, right? iPhone, guys were waiting from like 2 in the morning outside the Apple stores to buy the iPhone, as if they're giving it for free. It's not free. They're paying like $2,000 US for a phone, but people wait. Now that's fanaticism. Why are people so fanatic about that? Because they want that product. They love the product. You ask any Apple fanboy, well, I got an Apple computer, so I shouldn't be talking much. So Apple people really love their products. Why? Because it's a good quality product. And we as Muslims, we shouldn't be afraid. We have the perfect way of life. That a gift from Allah through his Prophet ﷺ to us. So we're very serious about it. Now, when it comes to trolls, that's why it's so difficult for us to keep calm when things like that happen. All right? So they always start arguments, they upset people, and they do this by posting inflammatory, extraneous. Extraneous means things that are just off topic, and messages and off-topic messages in an online community. And they target the public areas, where more people are visiting. They are everywhere. Everywhere on the internet you'll find trolls. Sometimes, if somebody dies also, like a famous person, like recently there was this famous US actor that died, Robin Williams, and the guys were there to torture his family about him, about his death because he committed suicide, Punjab. So the trolls were there to harass them and bully his family. But they come with one intention. They have a deliberate intention. Most of it is planned. Remember, in a lot of these cases, it's not just a crazy individual that decides, now let me go. A lot of these are coordinated by groups in the background. Sometimes you get a person who's got 5 or 6 pseudo names, false names and false accounts, and he comes there and he says something, and he incites people, just like this one over here. This guy, Richie Rich, I guarantee you it's not one person, and number 2, this is not just ordinary. This is a question that was put, okay, first read the question. Read the question, now I'll put it into context. Yes. This is from a profile, but this was posted on the page, on the wall of a Muslim girl's profile. A Muslim lady's profile. She spoke about herself, she spoke about her religion, how she loves her religion, and how she wants to meet others that are, other mums that are, she wants to chat with other mums, other Muslim mums. And somewhere on that wall, this guy Richie Rich comes and puts that. It seems innocent enough. It's not attacking Islam or anything. It seems quite neutral. But believe me, these are the most dangerous. Because these type of rhetorical questions, there's a subtle hint inside here. The subtle hint is that whenever there's Muslims talking about their religion, we must talk about terrorism, we must talk about bloodshed. Why? We always want to associate people, Muslims, with that kind of thing. right? As if these things don't, it was Muslims that bombed millions of innocent people in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and in the history of the last 100 years, the kind of atrocities, the biggest atrocities we know committed, but they'll still put this, right? These kind of things. Yes, you get worse things like this being said, where they directly attack Islam, where they insult our Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but those things don't work. They know it. They know it. The only thing it does is to make Muslims angry. But they also understand that this is not for that lady that he put it. It wasn't for her. It was for others that are going to be reading, to plant a seed in their minds about Muslims. Well, how would you respond to this? Somebody give me any, yeah.
Usually when we have groups discussing with people who are non-Muslims, they usually bring these questions at front when you talk to them.
Yeah.
I usually don't pay attention that much to them. I would answer it in a simple manner, not getting angry and telling them, I don't condemn it, it's wrong. I don't condemn it, it's wrong. Then they usually forward it, they say, I said, if you talk about terrorists, I don't consider terrorists as Muslims. So if you talk about terrorists, it's wrong. I don't condemn it. But if you said, how do you think about Muslims doing that? Then I change the topic from there. Then I would answer you.
Yes.
In the Muslim perspective.
Saud, how would you?
I think it's by two ways. I think attack is better than defense. Attack in peaceful way. We have to show Islam by all this different kind of social program, Facebook, YouTube. I think you have to add many videos, many pictures, many about Islam, even in this simulation way. Other thing, I think it's wasting time to just to respond or answer this kind of problems. So you have to know our Islam, then you have to I would say waste, and have to make time management. You have to just answer everybody through us. Rasul said about Jidal, you have to discuss for everybody, everything. Sometimes ignore is smart.
Sometimes to ignore is smarter, but does everybody agree with that?
We can answer that there are Christian extremists, but they do not represent Christianity. Why Muslim extremists will represent?
No, but the problem here is he didn't mention any Muslim things. He's bonusing, but not specifying a specific point. So that's the problem. We have to give a general answer to a general question.
General answer.
Yeah. A general answer. You see, my take on this.
If he just asked such these questions, general questions, answer him by general answer. He say, just like this, pretend that you are, sorry for this word, pretend that you are stupid.
You don't know that.
Don't make yourself very smart.
Just make yourself stupid.
Yeah.
They are bad.
They are bad, and I don't like them. Yeah, like them.
Did you study debating by any chance? Because that's one of the big rules of debating is ask more questions. Because by asking questions, you're going on the offensive. You're putting that person in the defensive. And I find a lot of Muslims, they get themselves in a corner because they let those people ask the questions. Never let yourself be in that. See, he's asking the questions. This is known as a rhetorical question in English. The answer, he's not expecting an answer.
Yes.
He's making a statement through this question. So now you must reply with a question like you're saying. I like that approach. Somebody else? Yeah. That's a good one. See, you're going on the offensive by asking a question. It's a rhetorical question. Because I was given I think I mentioned to you guys on Monday, the question that this one guy from the Department of Education asked me. Did I give you that example? So the guy asked me, after we had a meeting at the department, he was a local Christian guy. So we finished the meeting and he asked me, I'm going to ask you something. So I says, fire away, go ahead. So he says, here's the question, exact word for word. why are you Muslims always fighting? Why are you Muslims always fighting? So I told him, explain. He says, you know, when you look at news coming out of the Middle East, you look at Muslim countries, wherever there's Muslims, there's some kind of problem or the other. And I think that was the background for that was what was happening in Gaza. So now, the question, see, you have to understand the motivation of the questioner. That's very, very important. How you answer depends, and we'll go into those points a little later on. It depends on the question. Now this we can see, this is what we call fitna, right? The guy is just asking this question to create problems. But that guy was asking me, I could see that there was some sincerity. He wants to know about us Muslims. So then I gave him an example. I told him, when South Africa was under apartheid rule, right, when the majority of the population was being oppressed by the apartheid government, what did the likes of Mr. Mandela do? He says, well, we fought. So I smiled at him, I said, well, there's your answer. That's all Muslims want. They're fighting for their rights. Wherever they are, wherever you see these problems, look under the, beyond the media, and you'll see that there's genuine problems, and Muslims are standing up and say, you know what, leave us alone, let us appoint our own leaders, we don't want the West to interfere in our affairs. And he understood, because I brought it home for him. I made him understand, you understand. I could have gone on a different route. If I misread his question, I could have attacked him. I could have taken this as an attack to Islam. But alhamdulillah, from then to now, him and I became good friends. And we've been talking very, very regularly. I think this week we spoke again. So we have to understand who is saying, who is asking the question, and what was the reason. And when it comes to trolls like this, I think where we can, we should answer. Maybe we can't answer every troll on the internet, but at least in certain cases where we come across them, answer them. It's not for them. This guy, Richie Rich, is not interested about the truth of Islam. He's not interested, he's not worried about the innocent people that are being murdered or whatever. He's only interested in making a mockery of Islam. Now, we're going to answer this question for the person that's innocent. You know, the vast majority of the population is just on the fence. They neither here nor there. They're not bad people, right? But they don't know the truth. So we are answering that question for them, so they understand it. Because just as we don't trust mainstream media sometimes, there was a Gallup poll conducted in USA, I think it was last year, and you know what they found? 75% almost of their population, of the American population, doesn't trust mainstream media. So the CNNs, the ABCs, they don't trust it themselves. So where are they going to go? To the internet. Now we need to take advantage of that fact. Because we don't trust the American mainstream media, fine. But Americans themselves don't trust it, then there's an opportunity for us. Now, just continuing, this is the answer that lady gave to this thing here. Well, you can see where she's from. And this, wallahi, I saw this well before I even came to know about that I'll be speaking to brothers in Saudi, from Saudi. This is her answer. Make it bigger. Okay, she says, hello Richie, killing of innocent people is wrong and there is no excuse for killing innocent people. I condemn murder and injustice regardless of who did it. Islam teaches us to be just and not to let our enmity or hate for any person or people make us commit injustice. And she's got a quote. She says, check my favorite quote in my profile for proof. And that quote is a Quran ayat where Allah Ta'ala mentions about justice. We are to fight those who fight us and be good to those who do not fight us, nor oppress us. Allah said in the Quran, and she quotes the translation, Allah does not forbid you from those who do not fight you because of religion and do not expel you from your homes, from being righteous to them. I think this is in 28 juz of the Quran. La yanhakumullahu anil ladina lam yuqatilukum min diyarikum. Right. And she concludes, indeed Allah loves those who act justly. What do you guys think about that answer? Not just because she's Saudi, right? Be objective now. I think it's a good answer. I think it's a brilliant answer. She wasn't apologetic. She was straight to the point. You leave me alone, I'll leave you alone. We don't show the other cheek when somebody slaps us. As Muslims, we stand up for our rights. This was, I think, quite a while back, September 24th, Today is already gone, what, about coming on 3rd of October, almost 2 weeks. Richie Rich never came back. This was on Interpals, a site called Interpals.
I never know this.
Yeah, it's, you know, before the days of internet, Interpals was an organization for pen pals. You know, you would write a letter and put it and send it. So I was on that site and I came across this over here. Yes, Sheikh.
You know, the statement and the answer, it is like way back 2 months ago there was a tabloid. In the tabloid they written about the Friday thing, like when you get in this mosque, when the cars are packed, they obscure the view for people, and they are talking about the shops. When the shops, there are certain Muslim shops which are closed during the time. But the thing is, these people, they are only looking at what we are doing. Like we are Muslims, we take our religion. And then the lady who was complaining about that is a Christian lady, whom, when she was supposed to be contesting the alcohol being sold on Sunday, because apparently Sunday is their day of worshiping the gods. So they are busy concentrating on issues which does not concern them, but their own issues, they are not concentrating on them. They are not taking their things seriously. They are taking other people's things seriously. So it is just a waste of time, Sheikh.
It is. It's troublemaking, basically, just to do your share to make Muslims look bad. Remember, a lot of these people are getting instructions from somewhere else. Maybe from the churches. They got their own dawah happening. Remember that. We are sitting here. There's millions of Christians out there that are doing their own dawah, and this is part of it. Maybe this guy is not a Christian. You know, there's a lot of people, generally because of misconception. Now, the reason I recommend we give answers to this kind of thing, and we give good answers like this lady gave. The one thing I don't find Muslims doing is, whenever Islam is attacked, use the way of the Sahaba. How did the Sahaba respond to attacks on Islam? How did they respond? They would stand and deliver. They would talk about the beauty of Islam. You know, because they say one little candlelight will chase away an infinite amount of darkness. So we as Muslims, yes, we go to the point and we answer the question, but we must also take the opportunity to explain a few points about the beauty of Islam. Like, for example, I'm a Muslim, I believe in one God, I believe in all his messengers like Jesus, Abraham, and Moses. We are taught to pray, to give charity, to stand up for injustice, no matter where it's taking place, no matter who, and to always speak the truth. What about that you don't like? See, now that kind of thing is what the Sahaba would do. This is what our Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam taught us. I remember reading one incident where a Sahabi, I think it was Hazrat Khalid ibn Walid radiallahu anhu, who was talking to one of the Roman generals, and they asked him about Islam. And he just delivered. He just said it exactly as it is. It was like, almost you think the Sahaba had a standard answer, that they would give more or less the same answer every time. But there was intelligence behind it. The intelligence, the idea behind that was to speak about the beauty of Islam. See, because we got a good product to offer. We don't have to knock down anybody else's religion to speak about our, except where they're attacking us. Where they're attacking us, we give back. So we should do a lot of that also. Okay, then getting closer to what Brother Ibrahim was saying, fake sites that are out there. Sites posing as Islamic, they even have Muslim sounding names, but they are very racist and Islamic, full of anti-Islamic propaganda. And the whole idea is to confuse the masses. There's two such sites that are live. One is called thequran.com. What would you think? Sounds good. And when you go to the site, it looks very, very nice. They got tafsir, they got ayat, so you can click on any surah, pick any ayat, look at the tafsir, but immediately after that you'll see a red button there, errors in this verse, and they come and they bring a whole lot of nonsense that doesn't even exist. Things that we know as Muslims don't even are totally trumped up. Any little amount of research you do, you know that there's lots of errors. A particularly vicious site is this one, the religion of peace. Again, trumped up stories, They take things that happen, a small thing, and they make a big thing of it. Really, really a racist site. Like for example, they put a picture like this. They put on their site, this is from that site, the religion of peace. The whole idea is to knock down Islam and the Muslims, especially the Arab Muslims. Now, these kind of sites we have to be very, very wary of. We have to be very, very careful of. Countermeasures for this, anybody can suggest? Hack them? Yeah. Besides that?
Well, these who develop this, you cannot deep dialogue with them. You have to hack them. It's a good idea.
Now, these guys are they're not thinking about dialogue. They're not thinking about talking one-on-one. They've been paid to do all this. This is their, but the one nice thing when we take comfort in things like this is we see that they have to resort to lies and deception. I mean, to make a name of a site like that, the Quran.com, the religion of peace, they have to resort to things like that. And we can shame them by saying that, why do you have to resort to this? If you've got something good to offer the world, offer it to the world. Why do you have to knock down somebody else's, use deception to knock down our faith? So, sometimes it's nice that we play victim also. Okay, my last slide deck is, this one is more to do with how to engage people online. When you are talking online, how to get your message across. It's a very generic slide. It's not particularly related to the subject of dawah, but you can apply these principles to dawah, you can apply it to any argument, any debate that you are having. All right, so I call it ideas that spread win. 10 steps to getting your ideas to spread. How do we get our message across in an effective way? And most of this is particularly, specifically for online dawah. Number one, most importantly, whenever you are saying anything online, make sure you know what you are talking about. If you are going to do dawah online, you're going to be faced with a lot of questions, with a lot of criticism, with a lot of lies. You need to be able to answer. Particularly, one of the favorite things that they bring up is history. They talk about things like Islam was spread by the sword and things like that. Now, do you know your Islamic history? Do you know the history of the Crusades? Do you know what happened, how Bayt al-Maqdis was conquered by Hazrat Umar radiallahu anhu? Do you know all these things? If you don't, then learn it, because with this knowledge of our own religion, can we counter that? And we also need to have some knowledge of their religion and what they are talking about, so we can counter whatever accusations they put against us. We counter an accusation with an accusation. Number two, big problem I find on discussion forums is that people don't define the terms of the discussion. What happens is, we start off on a topic, and along comes a troll and diverts the topic completely. And that's their job, that's what they do. So a Muslim is talking something sensible, right? And then a troll comes along and makes some very, very ugly statements, and now we suddenly find that the whole topic has gone that way. So what we need to do is, there is a topic of discussion taking place. We make sure we keep that topic on track. We don't let it diversify, we don't let it digress in any way. And anybody wants to add anything at any time, please don't hesitate. So define the terms of the discussion, very critical, very important. Number three, develop and back up your reasoning. Think about something. How are you logically going to explain something, and make sure you have backup, that you can back up what you're saying with facts. Don't make statements that you can't back up. Don't say, but yes, Christians are terrorists. No, you don't say that. That's a derogatory statement. That's a racist statement. We don't say things like that. What we're going to say is, but didn't the Muslim Crusaders walk into Jerusalem in so-and-so year, massacre the Muslim and Jewish population? Didn't this happen? Now that's a fact. Nobody can deny facts. So make sure you got your reasoning right. Try to attack these things in a very systematic, logical way, so that people can understand what you are saying. This is one thing lacking in us Muslims: confidence and assertiveness. Don't get defensive. They'll try. The trolls will try to put you into the defensive. They'll say, you Saudi, just like Bin Laden. Okay, finished. But you should be like Muhammad Ali, the boxer. Remember Muhammad Ali, the boxer? Somebody asked him, what do you think about, a Christian guy asked him, what do you think about Bin Laden being in the same religion as you? So he asked the guy, what do you think about Hitler being in the same religion as you? So that guy kept quiet and he went away. He didn't say anything. So we don't know what the truth is, what the facts are, but the portrayal in the West is that Bin Laden was a bad guy and a terrorist and everything. So we have to answer, we have to counter this, but we have to be confident when we're doing this. We can't go into defense. No, don't be scared. Stand and deliver. You're a Muslim, you are on the haqq, you are on the truth. You got the mandate from Allah Ta'ala and His Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And that guy is on the batil and he knows it. He knows he's on the batil and you know you're on the haqq. So stand and deliver. Be confident in what you are saying. Another problem we as Muslims have, we just can't stay calm. We get worked up emotionally. And as Muslims, sometimes it's hard because we love our religion, we love our Quran, we love our Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So we can't, yes, we don't have the tolerance of people speaking bad against our religion. Yes, Muslims are intolerant. They make it sound like it's a bad thing. No, it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. It shows that we still hold on to values. Unlike you people who chucked your religion away, unlike you people who constantly make a mockery of your religion, don't expect us to do that. So remember, stay calm. There are some very bad things that are being said, especially when it comes to the trolls. But don't digress. Stay calm and say things that are logical. I'll give you one example. On Google Plus, there was a discussion at the height during Ramadan, and this Muslim girl wrote about. Here's another thing. I don't know, for some reason, Muslim females seem to be more active than males on things like this, right? It hasn't been statistically proven, it's just my experience. So she wrote about the situation in Gaza and about her pain and the hurt that she feels about what's going on. But she never attacked anyone. She never spoke bad against the Zionist regime. It was a very, very balanced article. She was passionate. She wasn't insulting. She wasn't attacking anybody. She was just saying, let's try and find a solution to this. And so there was a discussion. Now, the moment you do that, there's two things you're going to notice. One is you'll get the vast majority of people coming in support. And then you'll find comments coming from the United States, from places in Europe, from Australia, supporting and saying, you know what, you're talking sense. It makes sense. We can do this. It can happen. It can work. Then you get the trolls coming there. Obviously, the trolls must come and start saying derogatory things, very bad things, like somebody said, the Palestinians, Allah forgive us for saying this, Palestinian animals, they deserve to die. And then disappear, that's it. Now, one Muslim chap got worked up by this. Somebody from I don't know where, and he put a statement, horrible statement, death to the Jews. Totally, totally wrong thing to do. And you know who jumped on him? It was the Christians that jumped on him, the Americans and the Europeans. They said, you know what, you shouldn't say things like this. You are part of the problem, not part of the solution. Be careful what you say. Because you saying things like that, they want you to sound like a nutcase. You guys know what's the meaning of nutcase, huh? Mad person, Majnoon. They want you to sound like a Majnoon, like a terrorist. And then they'll say, see, we told you, that's how Muslims are. So they work you up for that reason. The reason they work you up is to make you say things like that and make you sound bad. But you don't say things like that. No matter what they say, you always bil-hikmah wal-maw'izatil hasana. That's how we talk, because we are the civilized people, unlike them. Yes, sir?
What I want to know is, you get the trolls that are asking the questions, right? What about the trolls or the people that also answer the question, that have a little knowledge of Islam, and they are answering the question that troll posed? Like another person that's not part of Islam, but he has a little knowledge, and he'll answer that question like a troll to make it seem that we are bad people.
You mean he's answering as a Muslim?
Yeah.
I think that's really a big problem, because it's so easy to sign up as a Christian or as somebody from another religion, even though we're Muslims, and deceive. But what we need to do is, see, there's one way to counter that is for us to be there as Muslims. And you now speak to that person in a condescending way, and you say, look, I don't know if you're really a Muslim, but if you are a Muslim, you shouldn't say this because of this and that and that and that reason. This is what our religion teaches us. We don't blame the whole religion because of one person's actions or something like that. So that's how that's the only defense we got. Because it's happening. It's a fact, it is happening. I mean, there are people that are hired by the forces of evil to portray themselves as Muslim and to purposely and deliberately go and say wrong types of things on the web. There's no avoiding that. It's a strategy that they are using. All right, point 6, use critical analysis, questions, rhetorical skills, and wit. You have to. This is what wins people over. Critical analysis. When a person says something, analyze what he is saying, understand what he is saying, and then respond using questions, rhetorical questions also, and be a bit witty about it. Be a bit funny and a bit jokey. That's what people like. If you're too serious, then people, they generally tend to move away from you. Try to be a bit witty also, so you can answer these questions with a nice humorous joke or something. But these are skills, obviously, that don't come overnight. Some people are born with it, but most of us, we have to learn this. Rhetorical questions, very, very, very powerful, very important. Ask questions rather than giving answers. Don't be, in the like a cricket match, where you're the batsman and they just keep throwing balls at you and you just have to keep hitting, or like a baseball. No. Make it like tennis. They give something, you give something back. Make it like that. So it must be a two-way thing. Of course, there must be give and take. Give an inch, take a mile. Sometimes you must agree with the opponent and say, I agree with you and what you're saying makes sense. Like for example, as Muslims, if a Muslim gets some bad publicity in the media, we say, yes, that we don't comment, that kind of thing, that is bad. But then you come back and you use another approach after that. Give an inch, take a mile. Be willing to let some go so that you can gain in the long run. Very, very importantly, people that you are speaking to, gain their trust. And people that are potentially reading what you are saying, win trust. Once you win trust, then whatever you say, people are willing to buy. And as Muslims, it's not hard to win people's trust. Just speak about the beauty of Islam. Speak about what the contributions Muslims have done, and inshallah, the trust will come. Very important, identify people's motivations. Like that example I gave you of that brother I was speaking to, or that non-Muslim guy that I was speaking to. I have to take a few seconds to think about his motivation. Was he asking me this question, why are Muslims always fighting? Was he asking me this to attack me, or was he asking this to clarify a doubt in his own mind? And I decided ultimately that the idea behind this question was to clarify. Now, where we in a doubt, you rather err on the side of caution. If you're still not 100% sure, what is the reason, motivation behind this question here, then give that person the benefit of doubt. Think to yourself, now he's asking sincerely, and then answer in that way. Your answer will be formulated and structured exactly based on what your interpretation of that question is. If your interpretation is that this person is asking in a good way, then you obviously almost go into the defensive. But if the person is asking for reasons of fitna, then you go on the offensive. Then you attack. Then you go all out and you say, you know what, this and that and that. And I know this sounds rude, but sometimes we need to be told this as Muslims. Shut up and listen. It's not always about talking, it's also about listening, about getting a sense of what people are thinking. A lot of times you may find a negative statement, something negative coming up, but it's not because the person is really a bad person. If you look at what's being said or what's being written, you'll understand there's some kind of frustration because these people are being pumped by media with all false information. I'll give you an example. A friend of mine works in a school in Australia. He's a South African, he moved over there. And opposite the road from the school, there was this Christian Australian white European lady living. And she was the most horrible person you can ever imagine. Every single thing that the school did, she opposed it. She complained to the municipality, she complained to the government. When cars come and park, they pick up their children, drop off their children, she got a complaint about that. The school wanted to expand, she put a spanner in the works. So every possible way that she could give the school grief, she gave them grief. But then they countered this with kindness. So then they started, now and again, say, let's go and take her permission whenever we want to do something. Let's give her a gift. A couple of times she chased them away, very viciously, get out. So, but then they persisted, they continued. They said, let's win this over with kindness. And slowly but surely, they got to know her. They got to know who this lady was, and she kind of warmed up to them, and then she came out with the fact that one of her son was killed in, I think it was in Afghanistan. And since then she had this bitter hatred for Muslims, because she holds every Muslim responsible for that. But then they explained to her about all of this, and she understood. And alhamdulillah, when she died, she became so close to them, she left their property to the school. So you understand, listen sometimes where people are coming from. If we understand people's backgrounds, we understand what their motivations are, then we can win. We can win a lot of battles for the minds and the hearts of people. And brothers, I apologize for taking so much of your time. I hope you learned something. That is the introduction to my session. Jazakallah for listening, and Jazakallah for being here. Why I said it's an introduction? Because each one of these topics can be expanded. This is a course in itself, technology and the dawah. For me, the difficulty was not what to say, but what not to say, what to leave out. I had to leave out so much because I didn't want to bombard you, so you go to back home with your brains all fried up. You want to enjoy a little bit. Before we conclude, we still got about 8 minutes. Any questions? Anybody's got any?
In fact, I'm also falling to that older category who haven't been come up with this. It's recent innovations, so going on to Facebook and Twitter and things. From an older perspective, we are afraid. One thing that is holding me back from getting into Facebook and things is, again, you are out there in the public. So anyone wants to know anything about Muhammad Rai, they press a button and his whole life is exposed. That's the fear that I have. I'm sure there must be ways of overcoming it. Even when you're going for an interview for a job, the company, one of the things they'll do is just put your name on Google and see what comes up. And there might be some dangerous things that you've been doing in your youth. Everything comes up, you already lost a job. So coming from our age, that's a fear that I have. How do we bridge that? How do you overcome that? I'm afraid because someone might put some, I'll give you an example. There was some years ago on Google, somebody did a Google search on my name, and there was an article on a terrorist article with my name. Right? Someone showed it to me, and I had nothing to do with it. But what happened was there was a journal in which I had written an article. And in that journal, on the same page, there was an article on terrorism. So whoever loaded that page, loaded it. So if you do a search on my name, the terrorist article comes up. So that totally frightened me. Right? Then we tried to get back to the people who were in charge of those websites and things, and they said, no, we can't do anything because we didn't load it. But eventually, I think so, it went off. So that's the danger part of it. You know, either things you have done in the past might just get loaded, or otherwise something unrelated. So if we can manage that, then I think so, there's no reason. And my sons, 2 or 3 of them are this military. So they've grown up with this. And we used to type, we used to have our typewriters, and there's no delete button for typewriting, and if you make a mistake, then you tear the whole page and start typing all over. All that is a thing of the past. Right? So our kids, like Muhammad and Yaqub's age, this is the in thing. You know no better than this. So we have to embrace it. But the fear of us, the older guys, is that. So how, Chef, how do you get people like us on board? I have to, because now that I've gone on my own, I've left what I was doing before, I'm into consulting, and my website is being developed, and so forth. So I am going to be going into it. But that fear you've got.
I think your answer was in your question also. The simple answer is you can't avoid things like that from happening. It does happen. The fact that your name was mistakenly identified with an article you didn't write, there's no fault of yours. But the only way to counter that is to have as much positive stuff out there. so that the negative gets pushed down. You know when you're talking about search engine rankings, it goes pushed to page 100 or page 120. So the more you put good articles, more up-to-date things, then the more the old stuff gets pushed out. So that's the only way. Just keep putting positive stuff and things that you don't want to expose to others, put it into a private profile. But as a business person, you know, I had those fears. To be honest, even though I'm into technology, I had those fears about what I want to put about myself online. But then I realized also that my company brand is closely associated with my personal brand. So I have to maintain, and I've got somebody that assisted me. I had this lady who's a social media expert, and she assisted me to develop my personal brand online. And that personal brand is now linked to the company brand. So there was no option for me not to go on board, because if I wanted my business to succeed, and inshallah it will, it's still a year old now, the only way is to put myself out there. That's the only way. And the more positive I put, if there is any negative connotation, let's say there's a Bilal Kathrada somewhere else in the world that's doing something wrong, I will push that down and keep all the positives up there. So when you're on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and somebody does a search, you'll find at least the first 2 or 3 pages of Google will be all of that you put up, and the rest of it will just get pushed out. Unless somebody is really trying to pick up something about you, the vast majority of people are not going to find. And the other thing is, when it comes to our youth especially, one of the problems that we saw when it came to the bad parts about the internet is things like sexting. Now, a lot of youngsters get involved in that kind of thing. In fact, I had a personal experience of one student. I was teaching at that school in Escort. One of my students, and a really good student, got in a fist fight in the school. You guys must listen to this, especially the youngsters. So these are the kind of things that we are facing here in South Africa. So I called him to the office and asked him, but hey, you're a good student. How come you got into a fist fight? I was surprised. He says, you know what, I have to tell you, I can't tell you, it's really bad. So anyways, I told him, look, you either tell me or I'm going to take this up to your father. I think his father was a very senior person in the community. So then he got scared. He told me his situation. Now here's what happened with him. Poor chap, he came to Durban for a holiday, and he was with a girl doing what he's not supposed to do, and they took photos. And he left those photos on his phone, and his friends were playing on his phone, and they found the photos. And what they were doing was, they saw those photos and they started blackmailing him with that. So they said, right, sorry?
They sent it to the media?
No, they didn't send it anywhere, they're blackmailing him. They, what's the word for it? Pizzazz. Oh, okay. It pizzazz.
So his friend did that.
So you hold something against him.
Something against it. Yeah. So they say, right now you must do our homework, you must do our assignments, because he was an intelligent boy. He must teach us everything, and they were taking advantage, and finally he flipped. He couldn't take it anymore. He got into a beat up with them. So then, now how do we resolve something like that? He did a stupid thing in his, we need to think also before we do things like that. I used blackmail to win the situation for him. I started blackmailing his blackmailers. So I called them, I said, and all of them are from good homes. I said, imagine if your father had to come to know that you are blackmailing your friend and you saw these pictures over here, what will they think? So they got scared. They said, we're not going to do this anymore. Alhamdulillah, no problem since then. But with youth, they do silly things. From the youngest age, we need to educate. From the youngest age, we need to teach them that this is what you do online, this is what you don't. Unfortunately, in schools here in South Africa, particularly Muslim schools, you don't find that kind of education. You don't find internet education, online education. They're just not giving that kind of knowledge. But very valid and very relevant. Anything else anybody wants to add?
Just to conclude that, but for me to expand my business, I have to go. I have to do that. Otherwise, I'm just going to be limited locally. So, because of the situation, you have to take that route, even if you're a bit reluctant.
Absolutely.